Trump x Musk clash over bill. Steel tariffs double. Is Andor making people like Hamas? Israel pauses aid after being told to stop killing people. And Sony PlayStation event. Sony PlayStation event later. And more. Get in now. Dang, not even during the Bulls? No, not really. I mean, I was a child, dude. What do you mean? I was like fucking 7. That's so funny. Being like, not even during the Bulls run in the 90s. It's like I was born in 1991, chatter. Anyway, here's the blast off. I have it on good authority. That what's going to end up happening is, one, I already mentioned the AOC, Zoran. AOC ends up endorsing Zoran post-debate, like probably tomorrow. And also Sony endorses Bloodborne 60 FPS remaster. You feel me? Yeah. Bloodborne 60 FPS Sony remaster. It's also not only that, but they're also gonna release it at the Sony State of Play that it's coming to PC. If we're fantasizing, you might as well go the distance. You know, I mean, there's no reason for half measures when you're engaging in utter fantasy, right? So that's it. What the hell is this? Hooping against former NBA players? What the hell with Dwight Howard? What the hell? What is this? Where is this happening? What the helly? That's athleticism right there. Wait, what? I made a cameo in a DC comic. Hasanabi. What? Wait, that's crazy. Wait. Blue Snowman does emotional labor. Hasanabi. Yes, I use Robert to educate people, but I do so much more. Gender is fluid, but you'll be frozen solid unless you hand over the cash. Wait. That's literally... Wait, what the hell is this? A DC Pride comic too? Wait, what the hell? What is going on? Wait, they put me... Wait, what? I'm so confused. What? That's so sick. That's incredible. The writer is a lib and doesn't like you, I assume? No, dude, are you kidding me? No shot. That's not... Wait, what? That's so cool. I can't believe I'm in a DC comic. What? That's madness. That's madness. Amazing. Wait, so where are these boys? Do we know where these guys are at? They're playing basketball against former NBA players. Sports Illustrated predicts gamers versus greats event. Oh my God. I was invited to this. No. They actually let you play basketball against these people? Bro, okay, do you want to know why I said no to this? I have a really good reason. I have a really good fucking reason. I was invited to this. I said no to it. Do you want to know why? Let me explain why. I have a really good reason. Because the way that it was presented to me is that we were supposed to literally do like, not just like play basketball against these guys. They didn't tell me that at all. They told me that we were supposed to do like trivia, like sports trivia with like actual ballers. And then it would be gamers against like actual ballers doing sports trivia shit like that. And I was like, I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I don't know anything about sports. I don't know anything about sports trivia. I would get destroyed. So I said no. If I knew that they would let us play basketball with Dwight fucking Howard.
What year were you born? 85. We're done with the 80s.
Cutie was right. Okay, everybody calm down. This is not... The reason why I said no to it is because I thought it would be ridiculous if they had me try to do trivia. That's what they told me. That's what my management told me. I didn't realize it was actually playing ball against the ballers. That's crazy. Oh my God, this is my fucking dream. Oh, I'm so stupid. Dwight Howard has been on every stream in LA, but yours, just DM him. Bro's too locked in on basketball. You're focused on the wrong gaming, brother. Yeah, you make a fool of yourself talking about things you don't know every day. Why would this be different? Oh, shut the fuck up. Take a week off, dumbass. Okay. Your management fuck you on that? No. It's not even their fault. Dwight is pro-Palestine. You could definitely have him on stream. Go drive over there right now. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah, Ron. Good D. I like that D. I want another one. Hold on.
This is madness, bro. I swear to God, this is crazy. The NBA came after Dwight for being pro-Palestine. Damn, these guys are not dropping any buckets, dude. It's like Marlon's gonna cook them. That's crazy. If you're wondering why your favorite athletes remain silent or worse, publish Israeli propaganda, listen to what happened to Dwight Howard tweeted Free Palestine.
So I tweet Free Palestine. Less than 10 minutes after I tweet that, I get a call from the commissioner of the NBA.
Stop it.
Agents, people like working with my foundation at the time, Texas, you gotta erase this tweet. You gotta take this down. You're gonna get it. I'm like, what did I do that was so bad?
Can somebody explain to me?
Yeah, can somebody explain? You know, and it was just like because I went against the grain. I said something that people didn't like, and I, you know, now
Not people didn't like, they didn't like.
So now it's like I gotta stand on what I believe and how I feel, and not go back on it.
Yeah.
And when you're in the league, you be in that place where if I say too much, or if I say something, I may not get a job.
When he says they, he doesn't mean Jews, okay? Stop fucking jumping over the gun. He means like the administration, like management, okay? Calm the fuck down. He's saying NBA, as in the people are obviously on board with the message of Free Palestine, but the management and the NBA is not on board with that message, okay? He doesn't fucking mean literally the Jews, okay? Not everything has to always mean the Jews. He's talking about like the commissioner and owners of the teams and people who want to continue making as much money as possible. Like the capital owning class. Bro, someone that's actually a funny meta. Like imagine you're like trying to be woke and trying to be as like polite as possible by using gender neutral pronouns. Only to have someone go, wow, this guy's being anti-Semitic. Dude, the commissioner is a Jew. Yeah, you're fucking stupid. That has nothing to do with anyone in a position of power and their opinion on Israel, okay? Please, guys, you have to stop doing this. Fucking Joe Biden is more of a Zionist than the average Jewish person that you meet on the fucking street, okay? Shut the fuck up. Goddamn. Y'all are so stupid. I can't believe 19 months into this shit, there are still people who are like, nah, this is about people being Jewish. It's like, first of all, there's not that many of them, okay? Jews in general. Not a lot of them, all right? It doesn't even fucking matter if all of them are pro-Palestine or all of them are anti-Palestine. It has nothing to do with the situation at all. Please. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, it sucks because like the conversation, like Americans are way more ready and way more inclined to adopt bigoted points of view rather than a materialist perspective. The tweet he was talking about was from 2014. God damn.
Job no more.
That's that 70% of people that's out the league that got you.
I gotta hold my tongue.
Like, let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. If in some totally bizarre role reversal situation where like Palestine was a settler colonial enterprise that played a formative fucking role in America's grand design in this resource-rich region, okay? Every single Jewish, Christian, Muslim team owner of a franchise or something as valuable as the NBA would be fucking screaming from the mountaintops about how the Palestinian settler colonists are able to do whatever they want. They should be able to do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with religion or whatever the fuck, and everything to do with people's material interests. Okay, it has everything to do with American foreign policy. Here, also, Kyrie Irving was pressed about it. Obviously, he's always been on board. Here's him saying I could post whatever I want. I guess, like, I don't know when this was from.
Put it out there just like you put things out there, right? Yeah, but it's not.
You put
stuff,
things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff is not.
So let's move on.
Filled with anti-Semitic.
Let's
stuff.
move on. Don't dehumanize.
Wait, this is not about pro-Palestine. This is wrong. You're wrong. This was about the fucking dumbass thing that I'm pretty sure this is. Yeah. Why did chat send me this saying this is about Palestine? No, this is about when he like posted his story in his story about like how Jews were doing the slave trade, a documentary about the Jewish role in the slave trade. Y'all are so stupid. Oh my God. Okay. Stop it. No, this was actually when he was like, I don't even think I've said this before. I said this when this stuff was coming out initially. Like, I don't think Kyrie Irving is like a anti-Semite more so than the kind of guy who wants to know like secret knowledge. And he posted that documentary without watching it, without ever thinking about it. You know what I mean? He's just like, he's a flat earther, you know? It's like, what do you want? It's more so, it's not about like him thinking that there is like a major Jewish conspiracy, but instead, instead being like a little bit of a hotep and being firmly invested in a lot of conspiracy theories that he has like a loose association with. But then as soon as someone gives him pushback, he's like, it's a classic case of people coming after me because I'm saying the truth. You know what I mean? I mean, I even said it back then. It was right around the time when like Kanye was actually being a fucking rabid anti-Semite. So it got packaged together, but that's it. Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Pro-Israel Lobby Anti-Defamation League, calls for strict censorship on social media platforms like X, Instagram, and TikTok. He says it's time for companies to knock the anti-Zionists off the platforms once and for all. Again, he fucking name dropped me again. This dude is going on every broadcast, brother. Holy moly. And I know there's you bought his shoes after that? Yeah, his shoes are bomb. Okay. Yes, I did. He got canceled and then his shoes were obviously about to be discontinued. So I bought as many of his shoes as I possibly could because once I find good shoes, once I find good basketball shoes, I realized that they're never going to make them again. I have to buy as many as possible. You don't understand how that works, do you? Kyrie Irving. Yeah, I got hella Kyries for cheap. It was like $30 a pop. Are you kidding me? Can I have one pair? I've gifted so many. I've gifted some to Nice. I gave one to Nicewig. I gave one to Ted Nivison. Nicewig even lost them. I'm sure reselling those are nutty. I'm never going to do that. What is this? This was the post? Yeah. This is, this was the Amazon. I mean, it was ridiculous. This was the Amazon documentary, Hebrews to, I'm not going to say it, Wake Up Black America. Again, I told you, the background of it was like the Jewish participation in the African slave trade and like chattel slavery. Was this before or after Ted tried to poke your eye out? This was before. But I've balled with him since he tried to poke my eye out. Let's see what he had to say again.
Where you have graduation speakers spreading blood libels, in an environment where you have social media influencers making baseless claims, people like Hassan Piker over on Twitch, or there's others on TikTok and
like, what am I doing? Can you just say what I'm doing, other than just lying and being like he is saying exterminationist rhetoric about Jews? Like, just fucking, because the reality is, if you were to turn around and be like, people like Hassan Piker on Twitch.tv are saying Israel is doing a genocide and it must be stopped. If you were to say that out loud on a broadcast, everyone would turn around and go, what the fuck do you mean? He's right. He can't seem to get my name out of his mouth. It's crazy. Please, he's out here issuing an American fatwa on you. I know. It's crazy. I'm sorry for making fun of him for being bald, okay? I apologize. Jonathan, get my name out of your mouth. Oh my God. I don't have an issue with you being bald, bro. Go to Turkey. Go to Turkey. I will get it. I will help you get that taken care of. You know what I mean? You can come back with a full head of hair. Jesus Christ.
Instagram, saying wild, baseless things about Jews, about Zionists, about Israelis. Vlad, I worry that this...
About Jews, about what? About Zionists, about Israelis? I think it's wild because when he says, like, I say wild shit about Jews and about Israelis, Like, and then people encounter what I'm saying about Jews and about Israelis, and they go, wait, he says that Judaism has nothing to do with Israel. Israel is a state, okay, in and of itself, and is totally separate from Jews who are not a monolithic force. How are you going to be at odds with what I'm saying? One, you're Jewish. Two, you're American. Nothing I've said is things that you would disagree with. Why the fuck are you constantly saying, I'm saying anti-Semitic shit? I mean, I know why. It's because, again, I am anti-Zionist unconditionally and uncompromisingly, but also simultaneously am not an anti-Semite. That's what it is. It's so funny because you literally cannot sue them for defamation because if anything, you're getting more popular because they're making you sound base by saying you're anti-Israel, not by saying you're doing blood libel, of course. I mean, it's getting to a fucking point where it unironically is like anti-Semitism is on the rise, okay? It is becoming fashionable. So being branded as a fucking anti-Semite is unironically becoming a fashionable thing. But of course it doesn't matter because most people know. Most people know that, like, the actual anti-Semites know I'm not anti-Semitic. That's why they fucking hate me. It's like whenever annoying shitters, right-wingers will like concern troll or virtue signal they care about trans people to turn around and say I'm transphobic. And it's like, yeah, if I was actually transphobic, you would be a fan of mine. You wouldn't be fucking complaining constantly. You know what I mean? And it's the same as like anti-Semitism. If I was actually anti-Semitic, half these people that are chirping would actually love what I have to say. It's so goddamn annoying.
Vlad, I worry that this could even get worse. So I think we really need tech platforms to step up and stop, lifting up these intemperate voices. We need elected officials to speak out. We need people from all walks of life to stand with their Jewish friends and.
What is this? This is what happens when you hire a guy who got into screaming fits over Choppa Trap House to write your Pride special. There's just something about this one. Wait, what is the issue? I think on gay shit, I don't think they would present me in a negative light. I'm in this. They put me in this. I'd like, there's no way, right? Would someone be like, he's actually a foe? Would they do that? Am I crazy? I doubt it. Where is it? Where'd it go? I had it up somewhere. I have it in front of me. The context makes it obvious you're not being shit on. They do. The author is a super lib who hates leftists. I think you guys forget I do have super lib fans. Like, I have a lot of super lib fans, especially from my TYT days and stuff too. So, there are, especially when it comes to like defending queer rights and stuff like that. I have a lot of super lib fans. People that might not like Chapo. People that might not like Chapo will still like me a lot. They might think that like Chapo Trap House is like too anti-woke or something, but then they'll say like Hasanabi Piker is woke. The author is Jude Doyle and is making it seem like you support the bad guy simply because they're gender fluid. They really hate Bernie Sanders. Wait, what? Once my dad spent a few hours making a pot roast, and when he thought it was slightly overdone, he picked up each plate on the table and flung it at the wall. We didn't get to eat that night. Yeah, I guess you were lucky that your associations with men yelling were positive. Wait, what? What the fuck? I don't know. I don't care. I'm happy about this, okay? There's no need to investigate further. There's no need to fucking find out what the actual political perspective of the comic book author is. I'm happy to have been referenced, even if it's a negative or even if it's a positive. I'm literally barely in the fucking frame here as Hasanabi, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm in the DC universe now, officially, okay? Shut the fuck up. Yeah, SpongeBob pointing at TV meme. Look at me. I'm in the DC universe. I don't care. You guys are being silly and stupid. I'm canonically in the gay DC universe. Gay Hassan is in DC Comics. Exactly. Even though they did say I'm washed, 60K views in 10 hours. It is what it is. Okay. Here, let's watch the rest
today,
of it.
Maybe show up for their own walk next weekend and say we won't be intimidated by the bigots.
Because I look at social media now and many of these platforms, I mean,
I think the reason why Jonathan Greenblatt is constantly mentioning my name is because he wants to stop mainstream media outlets from like referencing me in a positive way. You know what I mean? I guess that's the reason. That's probably what's going on.
A characteristic that I see is what you're describing: anti-Semitism, racism, misogyny, and the spread of misinformation. So how to combat that? What is the ADL doing? I mean, are you having conversations with the leaders of these companies to at least try to remove that nefarious content from their platforms?
Yeah. Like, this guy has no fucking clue who I am. You know what I mean? I am just a name that he just dropped. He will forget about that in the immediate aftermath of this conversation. He will forget. He does not give a shit. He's like, well, you are the guy. You're the guy who takes out vicious anti-Semites. So are you doing anything to deal with the vicious anti-Semites?
Yeah, Vlad, we've talked about this before over the years.
And it's kind of weird because, like, on the one hand, regular media outlets, like mainstream media outlets are now also arriving at the position that I've been at for years and actually covering Israel appropriately. And in the process, like, Jonathan Greenblatt is still trying to do his very best to try to, like, I guess, undermine someone like myself. But yeah, over 7 years ago, Hassan posted this as one of his first videos on his YouTube channel before he even got started streaming full time. Since then, nothing has changed. It never began on October 7th. The double standard of brutality in Palestine, 2018, May 15th. Important to point this, Matt Lex says, important to point this consistency out and also make it clear that it should have been everyone's understanding of Palestine and that those in media who weren't on this sort of timing by 2018 are not credible or in fact suspect. Like, I've been doing this. Do these networks not invite you on for, like, table discussions? They would. They're coming after me and Miss Rachel. Also, Miss Rachel followed me back, and I followed her back. Might link up with Miss Rachel. I like that as I'm in the process of the ADL hunting me and deplatforming me, this guy consistently is spamming, hey man, check this video about the ethical evaluation of Luigi Mangioni's case about how let's talk about the ethics of, like, assassinating a healthcare CEO. This is a video I said I was going to watch initially, but, like, perhaps not so close to the ADL calling me out by name once again on numerous media outlets. Like, I think a lot of you are a little bit schizophrenic and completely and utterly delusional in terms of how this kind of stuff works. Are you okay? Do you have a severe inability to fucking read the room? Götüme girecek şimdi. Anyway, pardon babuş. Bro, you got 5 stars on you GTA style right now. It's fine. It's not that. It's not that bad. It's not that significant. It's all good. We're going to do Welcome Fest as well. We're going to do Welcome Fest Reacts, rather. America's largest public gathering of centrist Democrats. Obviously, it's a meme, and it's hilarious. But yeah, I don't even care about the rest of this fucking thing. Jonathan Greenblatt is, like, actively trying to make anti-Zionism illegal. Good luck to him on this endeavor. I really do hope that there are reasonable people out there who recognize and separate anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. One has to ask, if you're really as anti-Semitic as organizations such as the ADL says you are, why are you being featured in CNN and New York Times, etc.? No, the reason why Jonathan Greenblatt is constantly fucking complaining about me is because of this, is because I get positive mentions. Is because I get positive mentions in a media like that. That's why. Hassan, have you already covered the One Piece Season 2 event casted for Netflix Tudum with Chopper reveal? No. Hey, yo, Thomas Foolery, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Well, I mean, this all gives support to your analysis of why they're talking about you. Pro-Zionist ops definitely have internal numbers and analysis that indicates your platform is growing and highly effective compared to other commentators. I mean, look, I got interviewed by an international outlet yesterday, the entire day. And the reason for why I got interviewed, like, this journalist said that he had a direct fascination with, like, American politics in general, as many other countries do. But his fascination with what I was doing revolved around the fact that, there are plenty of people who have my point of view and are out and about and open about their perspective, but none with a platform and none with as much mainstream prominence. So yes, that does play a role. In this regard, clout unironically plays a fucking role. This is part of the reason why I also play this game to the best of my ability, do collaborations, things of that nature, to expand the network that I have and try to get you guys to be on board with those sorts of endeavors as well. One, because it's fun for me, but two, because it does play a unique role using my strengths and my real interests to my advantage. Do you see what I mean? Because in the aftermath of that, in the aftermath of things like that, the mainstreamification of things that I do, you get newcomers who come in with charitability. Okay, I don't think gaming is a strength of yours. No, gaming is not. I mean, even gaming plays a role in this too, though. It's not artificially crafted. It's not like me saying, oh, I'm faking. It's not me trying to deliberately find a thing that people would be interested in or things that people would be invested in to make it seem like, I have shared interests. It's just like, these are my real interests. If I don't like something, I don't fucking entertain it. As you guys know, I'm very stubborn. Thomas Foolery with another 20 gifted subs. Goddamn. For me, my worldview and spreading this message comes first. Everything else I'm doing is in service of that. Everything else I'm doing is completely in service of that. All right. Arroyo, who is the entertainment reporter for Fox News, goes on Laura Ingraham to talk about Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel is once again under fire. Let's take a look.
Laura, why is everybody suddenly an activist? Now she's kitty care at the Foreign Relations Committee. No one wants to hear that from Miss Rachel. Mr. Rogers in our day, he didn't start lecturing kids about Russia or Iran or the nuclear threat.
Mr. Rogers absolutely did political messaging, okay? That's also not true. He did. But even if he didn't, even if Mr. Rogers never did, why is it bad that Miss Rachel is doing it right now? I don't understand. First of all, if you were alive back then and you were, an adult at this age with the exact same framework, with the exact same mentality, you'd be shitting on Mr. Rogers too for talking about like segregated pools or whatever. You know what I mean? Or talking about like PBS being defunded. You would also be at odds with Mr. Rogers. This is what's so frustrating about these people, okay? They don't like people that rock the boat. They don't like progressive politics. And that is precisely the reason why he is currently using this platform to attack someone who's using the platform that they have to communicate about the truth.
That's not your job. And I worry. Everybody feels they have to get on the activist bandwagon now. Miss Rachel, you don't know anything about the Middle East, the Middle East, the Middle East.
So cringe, so unimaginably cringe. Oh my God.
Maybe we have to just kind of,
Yeah, here's Mr. Rogers, by the way. Mr. Rogers helped break down barriers of segregation, his directorial debut. Anyway, yeah, Miss Rachel should keep her chin up. Her hero, Mr. Rogers, whose show many people have compared to her, has once stepped in the firing line in the same way that she did. Okay? It's poetic that Curso had made Rogers her hero, and not just because they both had hosted a children's program. The late host, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, once stuck his neck out just like she did in 1969. So the idea that like these other people were not on the right side of history in the past is also incorrect. Okay. Mr. Rogers also defended funding PBS in front of Congress. There have always been people who have unconditionally and uncompromisingly stood on the right side of history, no matter what the odds are. You all play a different role here. We all do. Progress is sometimes not inevitable. Okay. People need to be pushed in that direction. And it's good that a lot of you are keeping up the pressure in a similar way. And that is part of the reason why I will not stop no matter how much they fucking attack me. It's that simple. It's that simple. Sometimes society regresses when people get too comfortable. There's also that as well, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, then you have the mythical white moderate. Okay, the white moderate running an incredible show here. Okay, Michael from Pennsylvania calls it out. Welcome Fest is happening in DC right now, and the neoliberal entities within the Democratic Party that have caused all of the Democratic Party's ineptitude and failures and lack of popularity overall are once again at the forefront of the Welcome Fest. Third Way, Blue Dog Pack, New Dems, Inclusive Abundance. Okay, they're here and they're putting on an incredible show, ladies and gentlemen. They're here to stay. I know Jean-Pierre also has left the Democratic Party. We'll talk about that in a second. But here is Welcome Fest. Alex Bronzini Vendor is there, freelance writer for the Baffler Mag, Guardian, American Affairs. And this is the largest public gathering of centrist Democrats, all 8 of them. Okay? Laksha Jain starts off by saying, the voter you're trying to win over is a soccer mom who isn't really as concerned with the election on Tuesday as she is with her kids' soccer semifinal on Saturday. Citing Democratic lawmakers' visit to El Salvador, Matt Iglesias argues that the groups create bad incentives for Democrats. So, like, he's saying that the ACLU and all these other bad advocacy groups that are firmly within the Democratic Party structure, okay, that have their own unique interests and try to constantly push the Democratic Party in the right direction, they're actually bad for the Democrats. The Democrats should actually avoid working with them. Ironically enough, these guys personally love how the Republican Party operates, and the Republican Party is nothing without its incredible instruments, okay? Whether it be the media ecosystem that they've designed that goes all the way from the independent outlets all the way to mainstream outlets, blah, blah, okay? Whether it be all of the sophisticated media ecosystem that the Republican Party has designed, or the think tanks that they have created, where they constantly focus group test whatever kind of messaging that they should be following with, whatever kind of messaging that they should be continuing with, in an effort to push for certain points and certain types of policy that are horrible for many Americans, but they try to feed that. They try to force feed that narrative, and they try to force feed that position as aggressively as they can in an effort to ensure that they get a decent amount of positive coverage from that media ecosystem, and also are things that people will push for. New JCS alert. Okay, I know, man. I know. What do you want me to do? You want me to just like fucking watch the new JCS? Why is everybody saying new JCS? What is happening? Huge news. Did you hear Trinity College in Dublin was the first university in the West to fully divest from Israel? I will be visiting Trinity College in the fall. It's unsurprising. Oh my God. Can you try to interview Rima Hassan? I'm going to shoot myself. I'm going to strap myself on a fucking rocket and shoot myself into the sun to never have to deal with my own community ever again. You guys love repeating the same shit over and over again that I address a million times over. I have already tried to establish communication with Rima Hassan. She's currently on a ship that might get fucking blasted by the Israeli Air Force. She is a little bit busy right now, okay? She's busy. Adam Jentelson, people wishing to push the Democratic Party in the correct direction should speak up more on Twitter, where people will pile on you. Representative Tom Suozzi recounts being asked by Dem consultants, why are you talking about immigration? That's a Republican issue. He recalls answering, no, it's what everybody's talking about. That's what they talk about when they go out to a party or a family dinner. He advises candidates in the crowd, you can't let yourself be pushed around by consultants. Ironically enough, these guys refuse to abide by any sort of popularism standards that they have created, that they've cultivated, okay? When it comes to the issue of Israel, because there is overwhelming support for a ceasefire, and yet they never listen to those calls, surprisingly enough. So there's overwhelming support for Medicare for all, and yet they don't listen to those calls. So maybe they have nothing. They have no interest, no investment whatsoever in actually dealing with popularism, okay? And I will tell you exactly why. I'll tell you what they are right about. The Democrats on culture war issues that don't actually touch the pre-existing hierarchies of capitalism are losing, okay? Republicans are destroying the Democratic Party on the culture war stuff. They are guiding the conversation. They are killing it. And because the Democrats themselves don't want to do anything that genuinely changes the pre-established hierarchies, genuinely don't want to do anything that genuinely harms capital owners and their profit margins, because they are they refuse to do anything about that. They want to hyper focus on culture war shit, but Republicans are dominating in the culture war sphere because that's the whole purpose of culture war shit to begin with. It's a distraction away from genuinely improving the material realities of the American working class. That's why culture war exists. It's purely and utterly reactionary. And if the Democrats don't do anything, if the Democrats don't try to change the trajectory, don't try to actively become a party that is identifiable by certain policies that are incredibly popular, they are never going to be able to win. They're always going to lose. Because at the end of the day, with culture war narratives dominating discourse, Democrats are ultimately not going to be able to present a strong showing on the culture war front and inevitably yield to the Republicans on specific culture war issues like fuck trans people, fuck immigrants, all this stuff. And then they will give even more leeway to the Republicans on these issues by conceding to their framing. It's that simple. Yeah. And I talked about this extensively, so it's fucking insane that Matt Iglesias is using this as a negative thing. Insane point to make, given that this work, Trump's approval on immigration, went into the negatives for the first time while this case was being highlighted. It bounced back since Democrats gave up on it. I have been saying this non-stop, okay? I use Chris Van Hollen and the 1 week media cycle that Chris Van Hollen was able to fucking create around the issue of immigration by hyper-focusing on Kilmar Abrego Garcia and how successful that was in terms of undermining Trump's most popular policy position, which was immigration enforcement. It's so fucking frustrating. Democrats are such gross losers, man. It is... it's really fucked up. So, bu mu bütün liste? Bu mu bütün liste? Okay, thank you. Here it is. By a 22-point margin, Americans say they want Abrego Garcia return home. Even bigger margins among moderates and independents. It was one of Trump's worst testing immigration policies, perhaps the worst. I wonder why. Because it was identified. It was hyper-focused on. I don't know how many times I have to repeat myself over and over again. And at the end of the day, I'm only repeating myself to an audience of like-minded individuals. I cannot breach the public consciousness with this stuff, even when it's literally happening in real time. It's so fucking frustrating. It's so frustrating to constantly have to repeat this to an increasingly shrinking audience that is bored of fucking hearing this shit and is completely and utterly checked out of politics once again until the next insane thing happens, and then they have to tune back in. This is my life. This is my fucking hurdle. Every single day I have to fucking put that boulder up on the goddamn hill only for it to fall back again, okay? Just one more Theo Vaughn appearance, bro. I swear it'll work this time. I mean, I'm not... What do you want me to do? Stop? These people are invited to DC because they tell the rich what they want to hear? Exactly. Exactly. We all do what we must. We all do whatever we can in the little but albeit meaningful ways. Okay? But it's so frustrating to see the consulting class of the Democrats that are firmly committed to the Democrats being a controlled opposition party consistently denying reality. Okay? Consistently denying reality. Education Secretary says Holocaust denialism counts as viewpoint diversity. Linda McMahon is going to great lengths to defend Trump's war on Harvard University. Yeah, I oh my Lord. On the one hand, Holocaust denialism is educational diversity, but if you fucking, God forbid, say anything about Palestinians or Palestine as though they're human, then that is the maximalist anti-Semitism that you can do. There's also this, an outright denial of the abundance explanation in and of itself. In this viral clip, Ezra argued to Jon Stewart that the Democrats deliberately stuffed their rural broadband legislation with process obstacles in order to give local and other organized interest groups like environmentalists a chance to weigh in, and it backfired. Later, the Biden official in charge of the program, Bharat Ramamurthy, said that no, Republicans in Manchin Cinema had insisted on those obstacles at the behest of monopoly internet providers. So the poll asked a simple question: which explanation sounds more plausible? Ezra's story about the groups, or was it the monopolists protecting their own power? It was the monopoly 64 to 19%. It was the groups 36 to 19%. Here's the exact wording. The main reason internet service is too expensive is because the internet service companies have a lot of power, which they use to make sure they can keep prices high and block or slow down government action to expand internet access and provide more options. Strongly agree, 29.5%. Some would agree, 34.5%. Some would disagree, 14.3%. Strongly disagree, 5.1%. Unsure, 16.7%. As opposed to, the main reason internet service is too expensive is because organized interest groups and community groups work to block or slow down efforts by government to expand internet access to provide more options. Hyper focusing on these other interest groups as though they are the major pathways, the major hurdles against development is so fucking weird to me. You're missing the forest for the trees almost deliberately. It feels like you are missing the forest for the trees in a deliberate manner. Okay? I'm trying to be as charitable as possible. That's why I said it almost feels like you're missing the forest for the trees in a deliberate manner. Okay? I think it is. It is deliberately hyper-focusing on the least powerful entities in this process. And it feels like Matt Iglesias and the other, famous neoliberal consultants, the famous neoliberal consultant class, is now trying to wage war against the ACLUs and the sunrise movements of the world, claiming that their attitude is too pie in the sky, too ridiculous for anyone to actually approach and take seriously. And that, Adam Jenelson, Lakshya Jain, Matt Iglesias, all of these guys have put the crosshairs on the true enemy of the Democrat. The true enemy of the Democrats, which is, of course, advocacy groups. That is what the real problem is here. It's not necessarily the lack of progress by design on a lot of these issues that end up harming the interests of capital. But it's not capitalism itself. It's actually all these advocacy groups that sometimes will make demands that harm the profit motives of these companies. The name of the conference is going on, I think, is Welcome Fest. That's what it is. Yeah, sometimes I get 1 million to 2 million on videos. Tom Swazi at Welcome Fest. Truanon is there. Our roaming correspondent, Brace Belden, is there. Front row, rapidly emptying as Richie Torres and Josh Barrow take the stage. Richie Torres, D-Israel. Sorry, that post has been deleted. Oh, no. Could you imagine if May Musk makes an appearance? What do you think Brace would do? He would... Am I being obtuse? I don't get why both answers are not correct. We know for a fact corporations are slowing down and blocking expansion, but the regulation bloat and minor groups also slow down progress a lot. The reality is both. These morons are ignoring corporations for capitalism. It's kind of like this. Okay? It's like this. It's as though you are hyper-focusing on the least powerful entity and avoiding covering the most powerful entity that is a hurdle in front of progress. The American government is supposed to have awesome power, and therefore the American government is supposed to have awesome power, and therefore local government, state government is supposed to be able to do certain things, but there is one more powerful entity, and that is capital. Capital will always get in the way of new projects, whether it be improving broadband, ISPs themselves. And this, again, is a reality that the average American understands as well, as you can see from this. Okay. High-speed rail in California has been a disastrous failure in development, not due to these minor interest groups that have played a major role in blocking high-speed rail from being completed, but because of the incredibly corrupt public-private partnership, okay, and the lack of interest in the lack of interest in actually putting together high-speed rail because of what it would do to the existing industries, what kind of harm that would do to the existing industries without ever factoring in the additional opportunities for commerce. The abundance guys have some points in regards to state capacity. I don't disagree with them that certain federal rules, especially around contractors and litigation, make actual federal action unnecessarily difficult. I need to actually finish the book though, but I agree. I think they're missing the forest for the trees and not seeing the actual real problem is elite influence over the state, which is cost to restrain itself. I mean, every single fucking ballot that comes out of every single election in the state of California has overwhelming margins for fixing the housing crisis. And then they fundraise to the tune of billions of dollars. And then that money just like gets parked in a fund and goes nowhere. One must ask the question, why it goes nowhere? Well, the real reason is not because of, woke climate change groups that say, oh, you can't build anything, or the random fucking lefty, not in my backyard groups that don't want gentrification. The real reason is because real estate developers don't want additional housing to be built, or if it's going to be built, it must be built in a very specific way that only causes the existing housing inventory to also still go up in price. And beyond that, they never want to actually solve the problem. The real solution is to work towards decommodification of housing. Okay, there is no other solution. That is the reason why capitalists, socialists, whatever form of governance you have, the only places on the planet where there are lower rates of homelessness, okay, lower rates of homelessness and higher rates of home ownership are places that are either post-USSR Eastern Bloc countries, or currently in existence, capitalist countries like Singapore, where the government owns all of the land. The government owns all of the land and can basically take away your housing. That makes it virtually impossible for you to be a landlord, okay? Singapore is a great example of this. An even better example, obviously, would be China, but a fantastic example also is Austria, the city of Vienna in particular. These are all. Vienna is Vienna has a housing market that is 65% state owned. 65% of housing in Vienna is owned by the fucking state. It's public housing. There are many different ways to solve this problem, but every single one of them revolves around the state basically making it as unprofitable as possible for you to own multiple units and to make money, to generate revenue off of the capital that you own. Private capital, okay? Private ownership of housing that you safeguard. That is what the current government has done. That's what the government has always done. Housing was an incredibly important part of the American dream, and therefore there were a lot of protections for homeowners. There was a lot of there were a lot of initiatives to help people purchase their first homes. And over the course of the past couple of decades, obviously, people have taken advantage of those existing protections to make housing one of the most valuable, one of the most reliable forms of investment. Because housing, on the one hand, is shelter. It's a necessity for survival. But on the other hand, if you both treat it as a shelter and a necessity for survival and offer it additional protections, it becomes the most valuable. It becomes the most valuable, the most significant way of generating value, generating wealth. It becomes your nest egg. It becomes a point that you can use as leverage. It becomes something that you can actually take money out for and take out a second mortgage or whatever. You understand? Referenced by Kaufman. Derek Kaufman of Inclusive Abundance. Abundance is a North Star to create factions on both the right and the left. You can talk about it as a way to combat homelessness in our big cities, and you can talk about it as a way to compete with China. Kaufman, a former hedge funder, says abundance supporters should find like-minded candidates and give them resources to be competitive. Imagine a world where young people aren't thrilled by college Dems or college Republicans and join college abundists. What? A huge contributor to this was also keeping interest rates so low for so many years after 2008. Property became the least volatile and most reliable growth place to park large amounts of money, which is why all the hedge funds and shit started buying it up. Yes. Housing is not an investment. Housing is shelter. Everyone needs housing to survive, okay? Even an animal needs shelter in the wild. And the further you move away from that, reality, the worse the housing crisis gets, and the more homeless people you see on the fucking streets. And the more homeless people you see on the streets, the more you think crime is completely out of control. Because visible poverty is directly associated with crime. That is the reason why you've seen major shifts in blue cities in the direction of the Republicans. This is another incredibly scary, yet another incredibly scary consequence of refusing to fix the housing crisis. Okay? On the poorest end of the spectrum, you're basically cutting people off from ever having hope or ever having to vote for you because you very clearly don't care about their interests. And on the wealthier side, people that already have their housing, people that already have their life set up, on the older end of the spectrum, okay, people look to the endless amount of homelessness and despair all around them and go, crime is out of control, and our fucking woke-ass libtard administrators are not helping. They're not doing anything. That's it. And it sucks because there is no place in this country where you can actually point to a direct way of tackling the housing crisis in a meaningful way. Okay, houses are still cheap in the Midwest. How do you price in big cities? What? Yeah, okay, little bro. Houses are still cheap in the Midwest. How do you price in big cities? First of all, houses are not cheap in the Midwest as in comparison to how cheap they were fucking 20 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago. So you're wrong about that as well. They're just cheap in comparison to how expensive housing is in places like Los Angeles. Okay. What? 20 years ago, housing in Los Angeles was still comparatively way more expensive than housing in the fucking Midwest. I understand that people's conceptualization of wealth and affordability is a relative phenomena. So you actually are constantly matching it up against like whatever you can see. But you are delusional if you think that housing is still cheap in the Midwest. Yeah, cheap as opposed to fucking Los Angeles, but it's always been cheaper in the Midwest as opposed to Los Angeles until climate change makes it uninhabitable. And then people have to rush to move into the Midwest. Okay? My parents in South Dakota bought their house about 15 years ago for about $180K. The same neighborhood houses have going for upwards of $400 to $500K. Yeah. This, for the record, is untenable. Okay? Our interest in supercharged profits and the maintenance of supercharged profits for all of the people that own multiple properties, but also, and this is also significant, for the people that own one property and yet see that one property as a vehicle for upward social mobility. This is unfortunately something that they will never come to terms with. This is something that I talk about quite frequently with Los Angeles, with the state of California. Okay, what's the single home ownership rates in home ownership rates in home ownership rates in California? Home ownership rate California. What is it, like 44%? I think is the second lowest in the country. Okay, not surprising. God damn, 55%. In the state of California, 55% of families own their own home. Okay? 55%. That means for 55%, I think in Los Angeles it's even lower. That's why I was thinking like 44%. I believe like in LA, in LA it's even lower. So one thing you have to consider here, okay, is that means 55% of people that own their homes, one, are constantly giving money to the bank because they didn't just like purchase it outright. Okay. They did not purchase it outright. Yeah. It's 47.94 in LA County. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. So that means that 55% of Californians are, one, paying money to a bank to continue owning their home, right? And therefore, if their property values decline, all of a sudden, if the decommodification of housing takes place, their property values decline. Now they're paying a mortgage. Now they're paying a debt for a property that is no longer as valuable. If the property value consistently goes up, then at least that debt is fine to pay, because guess what? I'm generating value around this thing that I own. It's more valuable this year as opposed to last year, and the value will continuously go up. And by the time that like I retire, I can maybe even sell this house and have some money so that I can go and live somewhere cheaper, and even leave a little nest egg for my children, right? There's that side of it. The other side of it is that when the value is consistently going up, like I said, it's your retirement fund. For people who own, for 55% of Californians, this is their retirement fund. Yes, I said children. I said children, dumbasses, because who the fuck do you think owns homes? It's not you. It's your parents. It's your grandparents. Those are the people who fucking own homes, okay? People with children that come from the previous generation when you could do such a thing. Unless you literally lucked out and became a fucking Twitch streamer and were immensely fucking fortunate to be able to be like a one in a multiple million shot lucky, and were able to fucking purchase a home for yourself and your family before the age of 30. For 55% of homeowners, the reason why they are terrified of their property values going down is because this is their retirement fund. It needs to endlessly grow. Okay? They associate intergenerational wealth with home ownership. This is something that will be very difficult to push past. Do you understand? California's YIMBY Abundance faction is advancing a bill, AB 698, that would create a new bottleneck for affordable housing funding measures. This bill would require a legislative body of a city, as specified before it adopts any transfer tax of the sale of real estate real property, to develop and post it on its internet website analysis that examines at a minimum the effect of that proposed transfer on tax, among other things, the production of affordable housing, including affordable housing produced by market rate housing projects. The bill would include findings that changes proposed by this bill address a matter of statewide concern rather than a municipal affair, and therefore apply to all cities, including charter cities. Apparently, this bill is a response to LA's ULA, a 2023 voter-approved tax increase on property transfers over $5 million. Notably, the LA City Council retains authority to reduce or eliminate the tax without further voter approval, including to increase affordable housing production. Existing statutory law enacted by Prop 62, as approved by the voters at the November 4th, 1986 statewide general election, prohibits the local government or district from imposing any transaction tax or sales tax on the sale of real property within the city, county, district, except as provided. The California Constitution authorizes cities organized under a charter to make and enforce all ordinances and regulations in respect of municipal affairs. How do we ensure affordable public housing is quality housing? By making the state build it and not using a private-public partnership, but just having a federal guaranteed jobs program or a state guaranteed jobs program with state resources. That's it. And not deregulating. It's just, at the end of the day, I am a broken record on this, because all of these problems still go back to capitalism. It's as simple as the profit motive. A lot of people still have the capacity to understand how silly this argument is when you're talking about the Postal Service, right? It's not supposed to be for profit. Not everything is supposed to be for profit. Healthcare is not supposed to be for profit. The Postal Service is not supposed to be for profit. Housing, the building of housing and the maintenance of housing, is also not supposed to be for fucking profit. Okay? There are hundreds of thousands of Americans on the streets while socialist housing policy is working perfectly in Vienna. I know. We are once again repeating this over and over again. It works in Singapore. It works in Vienna. It works in China. It works in places where there is heavy government intervention that stops you or makes it impossible for you to own multiple properties. That's one aspect of this. Another aspect of this would be to curb back on Airbnbs, because there are different degrees of harm here, all of which revolve around the profit motive. Okay? In America, because we have supercharged our profit incentives, we have endless amounts of different hurdles to clear. Airbnb being one of the immediate ones. Okay? Airbnb is a massive problem. And then also on top of that, on top of Airbnbs being a fucking massive problem, you then also have to tackle the issue of people owning multiple properties for rental, like long-term rental properties. It's incredible when you think about it. Like in Singapore, it is not illegal to own multiple properties, but it's virtually impossible to make that a profitable endeavor because of the heavy taxation that comes along with owning multiple properties. Mike, they have a capitalist. The only reason they're able to afford this wasteful spending is because of capitalism. The will eventually run dry for free things. It's not a hard concept. They've followed this policy for 100 years. Watch the clip, moron.
Recent years have seen land and real estate prices in many European cities spiraling out.
By the way, talking about this unironically resembles talking about Red Vienna reminds me of all of the endless conversations that we've had about removing the profit incentive from healthcare, and how so many other OECD nations have been able to successfully implement socialized medicine and socialized healthcare, and yet we simply can't do it here in America because Americans go, la, 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 I can't hear you. That's not real. That's not a real country. France is not a real country. No way do they have socialized medicine. What the fuck are you talking about? It's actually so much worse. So much worse. Infinitely poorer nations are able to solve this problem when it comes to healthcare. But Americans do not want to fucking hear that at all. They just don't even want to. They just have deluded themselves into thinking, because intelligent people have told them, by associating it with like whatever the fuck they care about. Okay? People just genuinely think that it's not real. It's just not like it's not a reality that exists in the world right now.
Control. To counteract this development, the city of Vienna amended its building code in November 2018 by introducing the subsidized housing zoning category.
It's not really the Americans in general, though, is it? It's the donor and political classes? No, it's Americans as well, because of what I just explained. It's not. The donors are able to break the minds of the American working class as well. Like, it's kind of like how 401ks have basically made it so that the average American worker thinks that they have a investment in the stock market constantly going up, okay, in finance capital. Why do they have this? Why do they have this attitude towards the stock market? Because it's been basically universalized for every single American. Because the reality is, when the stock market is doing well, they are seeing meager gains in their 401ks. When it's doing poorly, they're seeing incredible losses in their 401ks. And therefore, they have associated themselves with the health of the stock market as well. The same thing goes for 55% of Californians that own their own homes. Kyoto recently made a 150% increase on the land value tax for empty homes. As a resident of Japan, housing is very affordable, not only because of a lack of zoning, but also because of public housing for middle class, banning gated neighborhoods, making housing not much of an investment because the property goes down in price instead of going up, strong tenant laws, etc. You need to have both upzoning and regulations. Exactly. But also the other part of it is, from what I understand at least, it's like the weird aspect of Japanese culture that is that dictates that like housing is supposed to be stop colonizing Japan. What? That housing is not like there's this weird attitude towards like not wanting to own someone else's home, right? Like there's not like houses are not built to last, so you're supposed to constantly break down and rebuild housing. Doesn't sound weird? No, I mean it's just like there's also a cultural aspect to it as well. Feel me? Anyway.
If land is thus classified as belonging to a subsidized housing zone, 2/3 of the usable floor space created for housing purposes must be taken up by subsidized dwellings. This caps rents and safeguards that affordable homes will continue to be constructed across the entire city, and again, ensures a good social mix all over Vienna. All these measures provide for an adequate supply of good housing in Vienna, as well as the rest of Austria. Last but not least, these benefits contribute to Vienna being continually voted the city with the highest standard of living in the world. Vienna was ranked as the most livable city worldwide 10 times in a row. This includes Quality of Living Ranking 2019 by Mercer, as well as being classified as the best place to live worldwide by the Global Livability Index 2019 through The Economist. In comparison with other big cities, Vienna has rather moderate rent prices. To maintain this, even in times when the housing market is under great pressure due to the financial markets and the ever-increasing population, the city administration invests, as mentioned, annually roughly 400 million euros in housing construction and renovation of older buildings. With this funding budget, around 7,000 good quality, affordable apartments are built every year, and over 5,000 apartments refurbished on average. Nowadays, the benchmark rent for a well-equipped municipal apartment is €5.81 per square metre, excluding taxes and operating costs. The benchmark rent for a subsidised apartment is nearly the same. When we study how people live, we can determine that Vienna is a city of tenants. Over 3/4 of Vienna's population rent accommodation, with only around 20% living in flats or houses that they own. There are mainly two forms of affordable housing in Vienna: the municipal housing apartments owned by the City of Vienna, and the non-profit residential construction buildings owned and operated by non- or limited-profit cooperatives or associations. Already, since the 1950s, parallel to the social housing construction of the Viennese municipality, non-profit housing construction has been making a considerable contribution to apartment production.
Do you think Vienna is Venice, chatter? Is that what you think is going on? Do you think Vienna is Venice? Maybe. Japan's cooked. Australia does it better. This ain't it. Australia shits on Vienna housing. Australia has major issues with housing. You are so incredibly wrong. Australia also has massive problems with homelessness. And Vienna is not in Venice. Do you think that Australia is Austria too sometimes? Maybe. Smartest fucking bogan, dude. Oh my lord. Incredible. Put another fucking shrimp on the barbie, mate. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Arnar. To your point, all you have to say to most Americans is you might not get to keep your doctor, and they immediately become raging fascists. Fuck the poor. We're so screwed. Yeah, Americans are very malleable. They are incredibly easy to manipulate, and that does definitely play a role. That does definitely play a role in the way that the capital owning class will routinely present certain issues in a way. I mean, they spend millions, tens of millions, if not billions of dollars trying to figure out exactly how to communicate these issues in a way that that universalizes the burden, in a way that actually makes people feel as though, in a way that actually makes people feel like it's bad if they get nice things. Genuinely frustrating stuff. Anyway, someone who is invested in solving these problems with state interference and actually puts a dent in this issue a little bit would, I think, would be able to become one of the most historically popular candidates, would get an unimaginable amount of support. It's also about making people believe, though. Here's Linda McMahon talking about the budget requests.
Very much. Senator Mullen.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Chair, what's the definition of insanity?
Of sanity or insanity?
Insanity.
Insanity?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Right. And what was we ranked in reading and math in 1979?
I'm sorry, what?
What was we ranked nationally in math and reading in 1979?
We were very, very low on the totem pole.
We're number one in 1979. Today...
Oh, in 1979. Okay.
In 1979, we were ranked number one in around the world.
What the hell? Is Markwayne Mullen base now? What's going on? Yeah, also, that's not the definition of insanity. They're using fucking Instagrammable quotes from entrepreneurs and shit. It's crazy. Oh, new meta. DOJ says campus protester had contact with Hamas. Remember that incredibly schizo lawsuit that was launched? It's from Far Cry 3. No, that's not just from Far Cry 3, chatters. It's not. It's been around since before Far Cry 3, okay? The definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results has been a trope and a stupid fucking quote in perpetuity. It's not just from Far Cry 3. I don't even think it's actually Einstein that said it. People attribute it to Einstein. I don't even know if Einstein actually said that because it's a stupid quote. It's most commonly misattributed to Einstein. Anyway, but it's certainly not from Far Cry 3. It's from Far Cry 2. All right. Anyway, the definition of insanity is trying to defend Israel. That's what the real definition of insanity is. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? And here is a great example. Speaking of Einstein, who was an anti-Zionist by today's definition, going back to American politics and how insane we have gotten, here it is. If you recall, a couple months ago, I covered briefly this lawsuit that was launched by one of the hostages that was released that claimed that Hamas was actually flexing that they had a direct line of communication with Students for Justice in Palestine, Columbia University chapter. Now, of course, if you're like a normal person, or if you have any remaining critical thinking skills, you hear something as insane as that and you go, come on, dude. But that didn't stop Zionist groups from advancing this lawsuit, okay? And in the process of advancing this idiotic lawsuit, they made other erroneous and, dare I say, schizophrenic claims, such as the Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine actually reopened their account or became active on their account right before October 7, which, of course, is there is a very normal reason for such activities of a student-backed Instagram account becoming reactive, like activating their student-based Instagram advocacy group account as the semester starts. But of course, this was used as a way to claim that Yahya Sinwar was in direct contact, or Abu Ubaidah was in direct contact with students at Columbia campus. And now, because we live in an upside down world, because we live in a world where insanity is now the new sanity and lies are the new truth, you have official government entities like the Department of Justice operating with these insane fucking claims. And here it is. The Department of Justice, campus protester had contact with Hamas. The Department of Justice is basically like a New York Post writer at this point.
You look at the protests in college campuses, and they say the same thing that these protesters said, that mutant that shot the couple in D.C. that shed, free Palestine. Then you find out about the protesters, and you say, were these all students at Columbia last year and a few months ago? And the answer is no. For example, the cover of the New York Post, you could see it now. If not, I'll hold it up, has a 20-year-old, and this 20-year-old was on campus creating havoc, saying anti-Semitic phrases, punching Jewish kids in the face, and he is directly contacted and supported by Hamas overseas. He has the flag over him. He's been arrested, I assume going to be deported, if not jailed here, and he was part of the unrest. College age, but not a...
The claim that is now being advanced is that this student at Columbia University was in a fucking group chat with Abu Ubaidah. Okay? I'm sorry. This is one of the most... This is just adding on to the insanity. Okay? Notice how he's like, look at him wearing the flag, as though what? Like wearing the Palestinian flag is now illegal? Like, what the fuck's going on there? Okay? I suspect what they mean is he was following the Telegram communique channel for Hamas. That is not a fucking group chat with Abu Ubaidah, okay? It's like following if there was an Instagram account for Hamas, for example, and you follow that Instagram, it's like saying, oh, he was following the Instagram of Abu Ubaidah, which means Abu Ubaidah was directly talking to him. Incredible stuff. Let's take a look.
A college kid up in Columbia.
Jew hater, contemplating setting a student on fire, direct links to Hamas. He was chatting with this Hamas group on social media, awaits trial, indicted on 3 federal hate crimes against Jewish people, and wore a green headband worn by Hamas.
And a mask.
So after October 7th, the show sent me to all these college campuses. And I'm asking all these students who are protesters, they say they're protesters, you know, about October 7th.
I'm dating Jennifer Aniston on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. No, the most likely outcome here, the most likely way that they're trying to massage the narrative here is that he was in a Telegram. He was in one of these Telegram channels that is followed by, you know, hundreds of thousands of people that will post communiques from Hamas, like statements from Hamas, which, by the way, many journalists also follow. The claim that following one of these Telegram channels is one directly putting you in contact with Abu Ubaidah is insane. Okay? And it's also a very dangerous claim that the Department of Justice is advancing. As in, if you follow people that the Department of Justice considers dangerous people, terrorists, threats to American security, then automatically that is a prosecutable offense is insane to me. The government, in the simplest terms, is follow policing, but now with the actual fucking police. So now it's literal follow policing. Yes, news agencies follow these channels as well. I follow a lot of Telegram channels the government definitely knows about and does nothing about because they're also feds like the Patriot Front clowns. Exactly.
What about what they did to babies? What about the hostages? And they're all denying it. We're like, man.
Regardless, this guy very clearly was an anti-Semitic piece of shit. The evidence is uncontroverted as to this. Yeah. Also, being an anti-Semitic piece of shit is not prosecutable unless it is unless it's a factor in a crime. Like, what are we talking about? Following Abu Ubaidah on Telegram is also not a crime.
Man, they sound like little Hamas, right? Well, come to find out they are. A lot of the leaders are. Now, there are some naive kids, but I think we've got to be smarter as a country. Either we're going to be little Gaza or we're going to be America. But we can't have people going down Midtown Manhattan or going downtown where they attack the towers with keffiyehs with the flags of Hamas calling for a caliphate. It just doesn't make any sense. And we keep saying First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. Where do we draw the line? If the people say...
Dude, it's look at Fox News. First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. Where do we draw the line? Remember, for years, these guys said that it's free speech to be able to say the N-word. It's free speech to be able to protest as a fucking neo-Nazi. And there is nothing you can say or do. You're being too woke. You are being too woke if you say college campuses should not be safe havens for neo-Nazis, right? You're too woke. At no point was there any government enforcement upon neo-Nazis, by the way. At no point was there any real government enforcement. And even outside of a severe lack of government enforcement, they still complained. Now they are demanding government enforcement, which is unironically an actual violation of the First Amendment. There was government protection for neo-Nazis against anti-fascists. These guys constantly cut propaganda. Mia Khalifa on Hasanabi soon. Wait, where did that come from? I was just DMing her about possibly having her on. Yeah. Where the fuck did that come from? That's crazy. Leaked? No, I mean, I don't know how the fuck the chatter knew that. That's crazy. Shot in the dark and you folded? No, I mean, it's not. That's crazy that chatter just like randomly brought that up out of nowhere.
Sound like terrorists are saying that they want to destroy the country. Shouldn't we be?
How did you get her number? I didn't. She's followed me for a very long time and I DM'd her. I followed her for a very long time as well. Anyway.
Be able to arrest them? I think yes.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who teaches at Stanford and is running the Hoover Institute, said this about what she's seeing at elite institutions.
Let me say, universities have made a lot of mistakes, including in the way that reacting to October 7th. You know, our kids chant from the river to the sea. Some of them don't know from what river to what sea. And so we have failed in terms of educating them about the Middle East, educating them about history, where we still talk about oppressors and oppressed, colonizers and colonized. The scientific research base of the United States of America is the research university. We made that decision 80 years ago. We don't have a plan B. And so I am a major believer in making sure that we are able to continue the kind of research that produced the stem cell revolution, that produced, actually at Stanford, the double helix, that produced the heart transplant. We just have to make sure, especially at a time when we are being challenged by China along the technological front.
Dr. Rice is totally right, Brian, and she makes a strong case. But
Universities
have to decide. Either they're going to commit themselves to the research and saving lives, or they're going to commit themselves to the anti-American Hamas rhetoric going after Jews on college campuses. But either you want to be activists or you want to be scientists. But you can't do both and get our money.
Yeah, they're all complaining. You're taking away our research money, cancer research.
Dude, what the fuck? They're literally advocating to undermine higher education as this government is currently doing, while simultaneously saying, and yeah, you can't actually do, you can't just do higher education because you're too invested in defending Hamas or something. Like, what is happening? You're the guys who are saying that Harvard is Hamas word now, and therefore we have to take away all the fucking grants. Oh, my brain is hurting from trying to explain what's going on here. What do they want these universities to do? They all called the cops to have them beat the shit out of the protesters anyway. I know. I guess they just want the universities to, like, well, I mean, Israel and anti-Semitism especially is just simply a talking point to actually enforce whatever kind of control they want to have over institutions of higher education. It's not real, okay? It's not a real concern. It's fucking completely made up. Maybe there are some hysterical people who legitimately believe that it is like, as a Jewish student, you'll be assassinated on Columbia campus or whatever the fuck. Okay, you know, you can't deal with people's hysteria, unfortunately. Okay, there's nothing you could do about people just hallucinating this alternative reality. But the reason why the administration is using this as an entry point is because they want to, one, undermine the First Amendment protections, and two, they want to basically control institutions of higher education. That's it. They're just using anti-Semitism as a way to enforce this, because anti-Semitism and combating anti-Semitism has a lot of institutional power. And part of the reason why it has a lot of institutional power is because combating anti-Semitism has been the way that pro-Israel groups have been able to defend the interests of Israel, which aligns with the American State Department. That's the same reason why there is no combating white supremacy groups that are as powerful, seemingly. Because if combating anti-Semitism was the primary responsibility of these institutions, then it would be cast aside, just like combating white supremacy is cast aside. It is not about anti-Semitism at all. It is about Israel. It is about American foreign policy. It's that simple. Like, think about how little influence anti-racist initiatives have, as opposed to how much influence anti-Semitism, how much influence and how much control, seemingly, groups that task themselves with combating anti-Semitism have. Think about that. Why is it? Is it because Jews are a special status that are a monolithic force and that everybody cares about Jews? No, it's because all of those groups don't give a fuck about Jews at all. They just care about Israel. And Israel is an incredibly important part of America's project in the fucking region. You think any of these rich white assholes give a fuck about any kind of bigotry? They're bigoted themselves, including but not limited to anti-Semitism. That's it. If there was a settler colony out there, Liberia style, okay, but like actually fucking effective in undermining the interests of like whatever kind of revolutionary groups that exist in the fucking area, then and all of these like anti-black racism advocacy groups were actually protecting that settler colony and its domination of the region, yeah, then also anti-black racism would also have a lot of institutional prominence. Is that simple?
Then don't be silent about this. Silence leads to violence. If you want that money, you got to follow.
Look how woke they are. Silence leads to violence. Your silence is deafening.
the law. You can't allow terrorism to happen on your campus.
And don't sue the president. You sued the president, doubling, tripling down. Now you're going through the courts. Now it's a brawl. So that's what the president, that's what the former Secretary of State said.
Woke MAGA, baby. Soy right. Ugh. Gross, dude. Fucking gross. Speaking of which, that's still not changing the dynamic, obviously. Here is a new poll that shows Israel's unpopular across the West. Even in Hungary, where state propaganda and paid Orban flunkies like Rod Dreher promote it, it's still minus 17%. The Western country where it's the most popular is the United States of America, minus 8 net popularity. There it is. In the Netherlands, Israel has a 45% very unfavorable, 40 fucking 5% very unfavorable rating. In the United States, that is at 19%, and somewhat unfavorable is at 34%, whereas somewhat favorable is at 31%, and very favorable is at 13%. In Germany, which is the only country that I think is closely resembles America's interest in Israel, like that's how aggressive they are. Even in Germany, it's 15% very unfavorable, 49% somewhat unfavorable. In Sweden, 41% very unfavorable, 35% somewhat favorable. 24 country median is 69% unfavorable. Nice. U.S. matched the views of Hungary. Not a great comparison. I mean, that makes sense. But even in Hungary, 20% very unfavorable, 33% somewhat unfavorable. Is this good? Yes, it is good. It's good because like people are fucking waking up to what Israel has been doing. Israel is a pariah state in the minds of regular Americans, in the minds of regular Westerners. Here is the source, by the way. Most countries across 24 surveyed countries, most people across 24 surveyed countries have negative views of Israel and Netanyahu. Turkey, 84% very unfavorable view of Israel. Holy fuck. Are you going to react to how the radical left dehumanizes the right by Remnant 777? No. That sounds idiotic. Especially because the right dehumanizes themselves by associating themselves with incredibly stupid fascist principles. Now, Nigeria, what the fuck is Nigeria on, bro? Kenya and Nigeria, 32% favorable, 19% very favorable in Kenya, 35% favorable, somewhat favorable, 24% very favorable in Nigeria. What happened? What an insane, what the fuck? Evangelical Christians, is that what it is? They don't got internet? What the fuck? South Africa is crazy, by the way. No, it makes sense. 37% unfavorable, 15% somewhat unfavorable versus 19 and 15. As a Nigerian, Israel is seen as a friend of Christianity. Oh, that kind of makes sense. Explain Turkey. I'm losing my mind. What do you mean? Explain Turkey. It makes complete sense, brother. What are you talking about? I told you in post, especially post one, Turkey is a majority Muslim country in the region that has always obviously had a point of view about Western imperialism, even if they don't recognize that they themselves are also servants of Western empire. Okay? The 10 countries with the most negative views of Israel were Turkey at 93%, Indonesia at 80%, Japan at 79%, the Netherlands at 78%, Spain at 75%, Sweden at 75%, Australia at 74%, Greece at 72%, Italy at 66%, and Germany at 64%. Amazing. We got to get those numbers up. As I always say, if you think you hate Israel, you don't hate Israel enough, okay? We got to get those numbers up in the United States of America as well. And I suspect that it's not all about religion, bro. No, that's why I said Turkey, sees, everyone in that region sees Israel as Western interference in the affairs of the region that actually violates other countries' sovereignty and autonomy. Okay? Did you not hear what I was saying? Did you not understand the point I was making? It's not about religion. It's more so about countries in the region that recognize Israel's position as a settler colonial entity and a proxy of the West. Yeah. Ireland numbers would be nice. Standing with Turkey for sure. Yeah, most likely. And it's not shocking that Irish people have that kind of opinion as well. So if not for NATO, Turks would have already formed a coalition of the willing. I mean, if not for NATO, Turkey probably would be a fucking communist bloc country. So if NATO didn't exist in Turkey, Turkey would be a socialist country right now. And who knows what America would have done to Turkey in that process. Turkey would probably resemble Iran in some ways. Being shut out from the EU entirely, as it already has been. And also, I mean, the world would be very different. I think the region would be very different. Turkey has always been an extension of American empire as a consequence of NATO and a very valuable ally in the Cold War. If Turkey was not a NATO nation, the Cold War would look different. The USSR might still exist. Like outside of Israel, I would say outside of Israel and Saudi Arabia, Turkey is perhaps even more important than Saudi Arabia to America's foreign policy intervention in the region. More like as a consequence of their post-World War I nationalist origins, yes, that was the starting point for sure of Kemalist attitudes. Okay. Having said that, there was still a lot of socialist mobilization in the country. There still is more socialist mobilization in the country of Turkey as opposed to somewhere like the United States of America. Anyway, conversely, the countries with the most favorable views of Israel were Nigeria, 59%, Kenya, 50%, the US, 45%, India, 34%, and South Africa. Oh my God. Dude, top 10 nations with the most favorable view of Israel is after Nigeria, every single one is 50% or lower. Israel is so cooked. That's crazy. Only one country has an above water approval rating for Israel. Oh my Lord. Biggest mistake of Kemalist libs is their love or fetishization for the Western civilization, which ended up with Turkey joining NATO and practically becoming a pair of tongs to deal with Middle Eastern issues. Yes. But it's also funny because Turks literally hate Western intervention. That's what's so interesting about it. Turks fucking hate Western intervention. Look at the numbers on Israel. Turkey is an ally to Israel, and yet the Turkish government's communiques and the way that they communicate about Israel is very different, right? You would think that they're the number one op of Israel, and yet, I mean, this is the reason why. This is the reason why. Turks hate Western intervention and don't recognize that they serve Western interests and are a firm and committed partner in Western intervention in the region. It's that simple. Like Turks would be like, oh, fuck Yankees coming into this country and doing crazy stuff in the region. And then they won't even ask the question why there's so many American military bases. Look. Sen bizim hakkımızda konuşma. Hizbullahçı. Bak. Hizbullahçı. This guy goes, don't talk about us, you Hezbollah supporter. Oh, Turks also hate Iran. That's the other thing. And it's not even necessarily about like sectarian infighting, like Shia Sunni divide or anything like that. They just fucking despise Iran and they despise Hezbollah. The West have found and support two of the most extremist ideologies, Zionist and Wahhabi Saudi. Yes. Who don't Turks hate? Name one neighbor they don't. Azerbaijan. Easy. Easiest answer of all time. Anyway, obviously, things are changing, attitudes are shifting, and it will continue to shift further as the media starts covering the process more honestly. Okay, the media will start covering the situation on the ground more honestly, and that will only increase. Like, there is no point from here on out. There will be no point where like Israel recovers its popularity. Okay. Why is Azerbaijan so pro-Israel? Sorry if you covered it before, because Azerbaijan did an ethnic cleansing campaign in Karabakh of the Armenians that live there, and they were able to conduct this ethnic cleansing campaign, forced displacement campaign, with Israeli weapons and Israeli technology. Azerbaijan also is an energy provider to many countries, but most importantly, Israel. They sell energy to Israel by way of Turkey. The Baku to Tel Aviv energy grid runs through Turkey, and Israel, in exchange for said energy, will give them weapons that they can use against the Armenians. Yeah, Artsakh. Azerbaijan is also a forward operating base for Israeli covert ops in Iran. Yes, there are many Azeris that live in Iran. It's a major ethnic group. Okay. And therefore, there is a direct entry point into Iran as well by way of the connection through Azerbaijan. So Israel will utilize Azerbaijan as a forward operating base for intelligence operations, covert operations within Iran. There are more Azeris in Iran than there are in Azerbaijan. And Azeris, of course, are Turkic. That's the other thing. So there is that connection with Turkey as well. There are many nations all around Asia that are Turkic. Turkey obviously keeps tabs on all of these Turkic nations, and also will offer logistical support, training, and intelligence to the Turkic nations and their militaries. This does not mean that all Azeris living in Iran are ops or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply stating that there are some that can be used in that way by the Israeli state. Nurse, he got out and is talking about how everyone's Turkish again. No, all jokes aside, I'm not doing a pan-Turanist argument. I'm just simply telling you Turkey's involvement with other countries that have Turkic populations, all the way to Xinjiang, as a matter of fact. Like, this isn't a defense of China's actions in Xinjiang in terms of mass surveillance, dragnets, and cultural erasure, but it is not an accident that there are Uyghur Turks that are literally fighting in Syria, and they're basically Salafist. They're incredibly fucking radicalized, fundamentalist, ISIS-style operatives that are literally, technically, I guess, under the banner of China, and yet they are being trained by the Turkish government. How does that work? Why are Uyghur Turks fighting in fucking Syria alongside the rest of the Turkish militants, Turkish-backed militants that are, of course, once again, funded by NATO? Something to consider.
Tents of aid. That's how a UN spokesman has described the US and Israeli-backed food distribution operation in Gaza. The comments coming as aid centers in Gaza are closed today, with growing calls for an independent investigation into the killings of dozens of people. Backed food distribution operation in Gaza. The comments coming as aid centers in Gaza are closed today, with growing calls for an independent investigation. Said it was closing its sites for update, organization, and efficiency improvements works. The group had been operating 3 aid centres, with a 4th yet to open, concentrated in the south of the Strip. Rescue workers say at least 12 Palestinians have been killed and several others injured in an Israeli airstrike on a school in Khan Yunis. Eyewitnesses reporting that an Israeli drone struck.
Yeah, they're murdering people that they have displaced over and over again that are desperate for a crumb of food. Its expansion is propaganda for Turkey. Central Asian countries don't share the same ambitions as Turkey. What? Okay, but it doesn't matter because the fucking half of those countries are dictatorships, and the dictatorship likes the weapons and training that they get and correspondence that they get from the Turkish government. It's not about the population's interests or the population's view of the world. It has everything. It's like the same with the Gulf nations, okay? You listen to the leadership of Gulf nations, they are fucking firmly invested in normalizing relations with Israel, but the Gulf nation populations are not. Same with even Turkey.
2 tents, which were housing dozens of displaced people, including women and children. The Civil Defense Agency said rescue workers had recovered the bodies of 2 children. According to the UN, the majority of Gazans facing catastrophic malnutrition are actually in the north of the territory. That's above the Netzarim corridor, a strip occupied by Israeli forces. The GHF has not set up a centre north of the strip. This Palestinian family said they feared travelling south to get aid.
What will the children eat? How are they going to stay alive without this food? My daughter died of malnutrition. We were told to come take food from the soup kitchen, and now the food is gone.
This aid, for me as well as many others, is considered a glimpse of hope. But unfortunately, in light of the lines of humiliation and insult the people are facing in the south, in light of the mass crowding, in light of the daily killings of people who go to get aid, the unjust distribution of this aid, and the lack of enough aid for people, I did not even think about going to get it.
The president of the International Committee of the Red Cross has told the BBC the situation in Gaza has become worse than hell on earth. She's been speaking to our international editor, Jeremy Bowen.
You were in Gaza earlier this month, and in April you made some remarks, and among those you said that Gaza was hell on earth. Has anything changed?
It has become worse. Humanity is failing in Gaza. It is failing. We cannot continue to watch what is happening.
The U.S. appears to have backed the plan by the Syrian government to assimilate thousands of foreign rebel fighters into the Syrian National Army. Reported on Monday, an estimated 3,500 foreign fighters, mainly Uyghurs from China and Central Asia, would join a new unit called the 84th Syrian Army Division, also comprised of Syrians. 3 Syrian defense officials told Reuters. Yeah, they're bringing the Turkish-backed troops under the banner of the Syrian army. All of the I wouldn't say that they're ISIS style. They're not ISIS directly, but they're ISIS style troops. And many of them are incredibly radical. There are numerous different groups that are similar to ISIS in their ambitions, in their fundamentalist principles. Even if they're not ISIS, or even if at times they have fought against ISIS. Like HTS is another great example of this, obviously. Almost all of them are funded by either directly or indirectly by way of NATO and Turkey by the United States of America.
It's surpassing any acceptable, legal, moral, humane standard.
I don't think I would describe East Turkestan fighters as ISIS, probably more like the Taliban. Okay, sure. Okay, like the Taliban. I'm saying that they're incredibly fundamentalist, incredibly violent, engage in beheadings, things of that nature, things that you would associate with ISIS. That's why I'm saying they're like ISIS style.
Standard. The level of destruction, the level of suffering.
Also, ISIS and the Taliban are directly comparable as well. Like ISIS and the Taliban are also directly comparable. What are we talking about? ISIS is basically the new Taliban meta. How the fuck did the Taliban come to power? What happened with the Taliban? Okay, the Mujahideen were also funded and were offered tremendous logistical support by the American State Department. No, they are not. One is designated by the U.S. and the other isn't anymore. Okay, dude, that's why I said in the past, okay?
But more importantly, the fact that we are watching a people being entirely stripped of its human dignity should really shock our collective conscience.
Israel, of course, says it's acting in self-defense.
Every state has a right to defend itself. And every mother has a right to see her children return. There's no excuse for hostage taking. There is no excuse for depriving children from their access to food, health, and security. There are rules in the conduct of hostilities that every party to every conflict has to respect.
So you are talking, though, let's be clear about this, about the consequences of Israel's offensive.
It's the consequence, as far as I'm concerned, of the whole world watching a type of warfare that shows utmost disrespect for civilians, that deprives civilians of their dignity entirely. Today we are in it. Today we can reverse it. We can save lives today. That's why it's important to act now. State leaders are under an obligation to act. I'm calling on them to do something and to do more and to do what they can, because it will reverberate. It will haunt them. It will reach their doorsteps.
Really powerful and passionate interview that Jeremy conducted there with the president of the International Red Cross. He joined me from Geneva.
Yeah, whenever people say it's a war and not a genocide, it blows my mind because it's like, it's a war against children, okay? Half the population is fucking children, okay? Half the population of the Gaza Strip is under the age of 18. What are you talking about? That is not a war. You can't say, I'm going to war with toddlers, okay? I'm going to war with toddlers that I have held captive in an open-air prison that I have shut off all access points into.
Geneva to reflect on the conversation.
I felt she spoke with a great deal of moral clarity and authority, not just backed up by the weight of the organization that she heads. The International Red Cross has been helping alleviating the suffering of civilians and victims of war for more than 150 years. I think it's because she would absolutely say they're not taking sides, that they are a neutral organization. That's how they operate. But what they are seeing, that's what she was saying to me, that what they were seeing is an affront to the conscience of the world. She said that we are seeing there an entire people being stripped of human dignity. And she also said that this has really bad implications for the future, not just for the Israelis and Palestinians, but for all of those of us around the world, many millions who could be affected by war.
In Gaza this morning, food distribution is on hold after several days of...
Israel's like, oh, you won't let us kill people in the process of aid distribution? Well, I guess we got to go back to the drawing board. No aid for anybody. Okay? Once again, all of this completely manufactured crisis that Israel is designing could change if they just let the fucking aid freely go into the Strip, the aid that is waiting at Israeli checkpoints right now. There is already a distribution mechanism. Israel is not allowing said distribution mechanism into the Strip. Israel wants to control the aid distribution and use it and weaponize it. Israel wants to weaponize the aid distribution to the starving population that it itself starved for months at this point, to continue to ethnically cleanse the population, to continue to fucking kill people that are in the process of trying to receive aid. None of this is a war. This is a Holocaust.
Violence. Dozens have been killed, allegedly by Israeli forces, while trying to pick up food as a designated checkpoint. The cutoff follows another round of deadly airstrikes in Gaza. Imtiaz Tayeb reports.
A CBS News team was there as Palestinians rushed to rescue the survivors of an Israeli strike on a destroyed bank in Gaza City where families had been sheltering. At least 7 people were killed and dozens injured, according to first responders. The attack followed an announcement by the U.S. and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's decision to halt operations following 3 consecutive days of mass shootings.
I can't believe it. I'm seeing Eye on Palestine Instagram account posts on CBS Mornings. Wow. What the fuck is going on? What an incredible change. Where was this since October 8th? Okay. This is eyewitness phone camera footage that mainstream media has denied using. Okay. They're Hasanabi posting. What? Oh, guys, is this real? Star Wars subreddit politics is banned. Andor subreddit. Tie me to a missile and fire it at Tel Aviv. I am ready. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Andor subreddit in a second. Andor subreddit is getting interesting, and I think that it's got 17.5 K upvotes. They're going to fucking ban this subreddit, probably.
Near its southern aid distribution hub in order to, quote, enhance security measures. Jeff, which is staffed with heavily armed American private security contractors, did not exist up until a few months ago. But one of its affiliates, Safe Reach Solutions, which employs several of the contractors, has a publicly available address in Israel. We went to the central Tel Aviv building to see if we could talk to someone from the...
This is crazy. They're actually doing journalism. Are my eyes deceiving me? Am I seeing CBS Mornings do actual journalism? Actual investigative reporting? What the fuck is going on? Doing actual investigative reporting on Israel, the most moral nation? How is this possible? What the fuck is happening? They do news now? They're doing reporting. This is an incredible shift in attitude, not just in tone and demeanor. This is like they're actually doing real work for once. This is unheard of. This is unimaginable. What a market shift.
Wyoming registered company about their operations in Gaza.
I'm just confused because, like, why aren't they just listening to what Itamar Ben-Gvir has to say and then acting like that is the truth? Because that's a little surprising. They're starting to cover the truth like they got a fucking Nuremberg trial coming up or something. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't care if it's ass covering, chat. I don't care because, look, I'm being cold, calculated, and pragmatic. Okay? Yes, it's far too late. Yes, it's far too little. Okay? But I am not going to sit here and constantly fucking complain about this shit, because the reality of the matter is this is how that pressure continues to build. Okay? This is how that pressure continues to build, because when you show this as opposed to showing my coverage to your fucking grandparents, they are going to be infinitely more responsive to this. Okay? This is complementary to your goals. If you want to change people's minds, having some random dumbass who curses all the time, who wears a t-shirt in his news coverage, is not going to be the most effective communicator to change the minds of your parents and your grandparents that have firm commitments to believing that Israel is the most moral nation on the fucking planet. Having the media, mainstream outlets, say these things that I've been saying for fucking months and actually doing real journalism is good, because it will then create even more pressure. It will cause even more people to take it to the streets. I never would have imagined that this level of actual investigations would ever take place in mainstream media. I believe that you will see more and more people even using the G word. You might even start seeing mainstream media use the G word maybe in like 3 months, 4 months from now, depending on how this issue is trending. Resist Libs in my life are posting about Gaza because of Miss Rachel. Yeah. Stimp TM, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. The Pew poll showing Israel unfavorability in U.S. going from 42% in 2022 to 53% in 2025 happened because of people who are late to the game. Anyone who sits and acts holier than thou on this issue just wants to stay at that 42 in perpetuity, I guess. Yes. Some people want to gatekeep access to the truth, and it's very unproductive. That's all I'm saying. It's cute you think this is because the winds are changing and not permitted because job is done and now they need to let liberals clear their conscience. No, there is that as well. This is part of it as well. But ultimately, if you're in the business of advocacy, if you want the rest of the Palestinians to survive, if you want any Palestinians in the Gaza Strip to survive this process, you have to keep fucking pushing. Do you understand? Israel and Western leadership relied on people turning a blind eye to these atrocities. They thought that people would just simply refuse to care. They thought that this would turn into like the Syrian civil war. They thought, oh, it's just like happening over there. Who gives a shit? What they failed to recognize was that our populations understand that we are directly responsible for this. Okay? Because I talked about this yesterday with this journalist. Israel is directly involved with Western affairs, because Israel cannot continue existing in the violent ways that it does without unlimited support from the West. And therefore, Israel and its actions are not as avoidable as what happens in Syria, regardless of U.S. intervention and U.S. involvement. You see what I mean? We have more involvement here than even with respect to Russia invading Ukraine. This is precisely the reason why it never actually went away. Even Ukraine and support for Ukraine went away, despite the fact that liberals loved being on the right side for once of any fucking global conflict, even if it ultimately was for the wrong reasons, even if it ultimately was not to save Ukraine at all, but instead to shift our military budgets away from Afghanistan to a new area where now even soldiers don't fucking die. It's fantastic, right? Hassan, I really can't stop this infinite charity thing. If we let libs come over to our position after cheering for genocide for 20 months, is ideological genocide. These colonizers get to do this with no rhetorical or material opposition. There's no justice in that. Brother, you will never find me casting aside any person that arrives at the correct conclusion, even if it's fucking months late, okay? Months too late, because I understand that in order for change to take place, especially in order for people to recognize that perhaps the previous ways in which people have actually been able to implement change in our supposedly democratic process is not working. You need numbers for that. You need pressure for that. And it doesn't happen overnight, okay? Not everyone is fucking born woke or on the right side of history. It takes a lot for people to get there, okay? So you do have to have allies in this fight. It's a struggle, and it takes a long time to get people on board. I never told you to fucking forgive people. I'm just simply saying, while you can maintain your critical attitude towards those who you have heard have stood in opposition to Palestinian emancipation, you should still welcome them as new allies and try to redirect their attention to more productive ways of protesting. You should get them to re-examine what caused them initially to be on the wrong side in this. Okay? This should be an opportunity for you. This should be an opportunity for you to say, hey, look, there has to be a reason as to why you thought what Israel was doing was correct until recently. Try to engage in a little bit of self-criticism and figure out what that was, so that next time something like this happens, you're not immediately rushing to defend whatever the American State Department position is. Do you understand? And no, this charitability does not extend to the likes of fucking Matt Miller. Come on, dude. I'm talking about average Joes who get duped by the likes of Matt Miller, who get duped by the likes of CBS Mornings.
What we've been told is that, by the women we've spoken to, is that there's only one person, one family in this building.
She asked us to obscure her identity to protect her privacy.
The woman who lives in this building didn't want to speak to us on camera, but what she did tell us is that there is an apartment in this building that is rented out as an Airbnb, and that a group of Americans, well-dressed Americans as she described them, stayed there for a few nights, but that she hasn't seen them for the past 10 days.
Almost as long as the group has been on the ground in Gaza.
Now, very little is publicly known.
Also, another thing you have to understand is, like, this is still ongoing. This is not the same as, like, liberals basically saying, after championing the Iraq War and its continuation, turning around and being like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the best idea after it's done. Okay? This is still an ongoing issue, and therefore it's still an ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign, and therefore you need every fucking ally you can get. Do you understand? Many of you are late to the game. This has been an ongoing atrocity for 77 years. Do I ever sit here and tell you how late to the game you were as opposed to someone like myself? No. A lot of you learned about this process recently, as opposed to Palestinians who have been advocating for their own emancipation for a very long time, or even someone like myself who has been a advocate for Palestinian emancipation for the past 10 fucking years, 12 years at this point. Do I sit here and tell you, haha, Like in the aftermath of October 7, did I sit here and tell you, oh, look at that, you finally arrived at the correct conclusion? No, I don't. So you should also carry yourself in a similar way. Because it's not about being right. It's not about gatekeeping progress. It's not about fucking gatekeeping protest. It's about literally bringing as many people as you possibly can to your cause with the hopes that eventually you can change the tide. You can make it so that there is so much pressure to support Israel that even the American government has to recalculate their priorities. I never do that. Anyway, let's talk about Hasanabi Vindication Month. You do sometimes do that. Okay, well, I'm not doing it on this because this is still an ongoing issue. Okay? And by the way, whenever I talk about vindication, I also still package that with, it's vindication for all of us, usually, not just myself, but I also still package that with, now understand how you arrived at that position initially. Understand why you stood in opposition to what I was saying initially. Try to figure out where you were getting your information from and reconsider whether or not those people have biases that were hidden to you. I was a lib pro-Israel guy because I didn't know anything, even thought, of course they should defend themselves. Only after my girlfriend introduced me to you a few months ago, I finally realized what was really going on and learned about the Middle East. Yeah, there are always new people coming in here. The goal is not to fucking shut off people from learning. My goal is to explain the situation to people no matter where they're at. Don't attack allies.
About the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and Safe Reach Solutions. But a CBS News analysis has found that both companies are registered in Delaware and Wyoming, respectively. Now, we asked a representative of GHF about the source of their funding, but he would not say. Nate.
MTS Tayyab in Tel Aviv, thank you.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalists ship to deliver humanitarian aid. The boat is called the Madeleine, named after Gaza's first fisherwoman who ran her father's fishing business after he was injured in a 2009 Israeli attack. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition initially planned to sail from Malta last month.
Yeah, this is a great take. Chatters are emotionally focused on the punishment of perpetrators rather than the liberation currently desperately needed. It's a misdirection of energy. Lock-in chat is correct.
But their ship was damaged after it was bombed by drones in international waters. At Sunday's launch of the Madeleine from the Italian port of Catania, actor Liam Cunningham, known for his role in the series Game of Thrones, spoke out in support of the effort.
Oh, they're so fucking gross, dude. Hamas is doing everything possible to prevent it and is spreading lies, but Gaza residents are voting with their feet and with smiles. Civilians in Gaza arrived again this morning to collect aid packages from the Gaza Humanitarian Fund. After we starved every single person here and shot a bunch of their family members and killed a bunch of their family members, they are excited at the prospect of receiving a crumb of aid. They love us. Also, we're going to keep shooting at them. Incredible.
The reason I'm here, as far as I'm concerned, the heart and soul of humanity is in Gaza. For me, this attack, this genocide, is not just on Palestinians, it is on the whole human race. These wonderful, brave people who are setting off on this boat are heroes. And also the people of Gaza, for the last 600 days, are heroes. They are, in my mind, they will always be heroes.
A group of 12 activists are carrying the aid for Gaza, including the Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, who will join us from the Madeleine ship in a minute. She spoke Sunday at the launch.
A month after our latest attempt to go on with this mission, the boat was bombed twice. All evidence suggests Israel. And we are doing this because we have to keep our promise to the Palestinians to do everything in our power to protest against the genocide and to try to open up a humanitarian corridor.
This is why I call ProPublica, because this is how Amy Goodman says ProPublica. I get all my notes from Amy Goodman, my queen. Greta Thunberg.
Since setting sail, passengers on the flotilla have faced many threats, including from U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who wrote on X, quote, "Hope Greta and her friends can swim," unquote. The Gaza Freedom Flotilla has also been shadowed by at least one military helicopter and have reported drones circulating the ship. This is Thiago Avila.
Hello, everyone. This is a new alert. We can clearly see a drone right now to our left. It's gaining on us a little bit. Please share this alert. Second alert of the night. The third day of our journey to Gaza to break the siege and create a people's humanitarian corridor on board the Madeleine. Please share our location. We'll be sending the exact coordinates.
In 2010, Israel conducted a deadly raid on another Gaza-bound aid ship, the Mavi Marmara. Israeli commandos stormed the boat in international waters, killing 9 people. A 10th died after 4 years in a coma. For more, we're joined from the international waters by Greta Thunberg, the internationally renowned Swedish climate activist known for inspiring the global youth climate strike. In 2019, she received the Right Livelihood Award. She's also been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Greta is speaking to us aboard the Gaza Freedom Flotilla's vessel Madeleine, which is on this voyage from Sicily to Gaza, again carrying life-saving aid in an attempt to break Israel's siege of the Gaza Strip. Greta, it's really something to see you on that ship right now. Can you tell us why you're taking this journey, extremely dangerous, and how you're planning to challenge the Israeli blockade?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, as you said, we are doing this mission following 1 month after our last attempt. Both Conscience was bombed and disabled. So that's why we are trying again, because we cannot afford to give up. There is simply too much at stake. And in times of injustice, as we are seeing now, the genocide and blockade happening, we have to do everything we can to demand an end to these atrocities and war crimes committed by Israel. And for me personally,
they've tried to do this already. Yes, they did this in 2010. A Turkish humanitarian aid flotilla wanted to break through the Israeli naval blockade, and was shot and killed. 9 of the humanitarian aid workers were killed on board. They also tried to do another humanitarian aid flotilla last year. Turkey did not allow them to leave the Turkish docks. Then they tried to do it from Europe, and Israel struck their boat off the coast of Malta. This is yet another attempt. Now with Greta Thunberg and numerous other people. Was she even alive in 2010? No, she wasn't. It's not the same people, chatter. I think that they are incredibly brave for doing this, and I hope that Israel does not actually end up striking this humanitarian aid flotilla, but they most likely will try to apprehend it. Like the Israeli Navy will most likely try to commandeer the ship.
I happen to have a platform for some reason, and then it is my moral obligation to use that platform. And if my presence on this boat can make a difference, if that can show in any way that the world has not forgotten about Palestine, and to try once again to attempt to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor and deliver the extremely needed humanitarian aid.
Yeah. Also, Rima Hassan is there. She's a member of the European Parliament, a part of France Unbowed, the France Unbowed Party. Every other country shooting it would be considered a declaration of war against NATO, but Israel gets to do stuff like that usually, so we shall see.
Then that is a risk I'm willing to take, and it's something that we just simply have to do. We cannot just sit around and do nothing and watch this live stream genocide unfold in front of our very eyes. So we are doing this because we are human beings who care.
Yes, I know. An 8-minute state of play is going to start, and we'll watch the state of play as tens of thousands of people will run away from the
about justice
from the stream.
And when our complicit governments fail to step up, it falls on us, unfortunately, to do so.
And Greta, could you talk about how you see the issue of Palestinian freedom connecting to or intersecting with the issue that you're best known for, which is climate change activism?
Yeah, for me, there's no way of distinguishing the two. We cannot have climate justice without social justice. The reason why I am a climate activist
This is a great take. What she's about to say here is a really smart take.
is not because I want to protect trees. I'm a climate activist because I care about human and planetary well-being, and those are extremely interlinked. For example, when we see the genocide in Gaza, of course, there are some very obvious links that ecocide, environmental destruction, is a very common method used in war and to oppress people. But also, it should be much simpler than that. No matter what the cause of the suffering is, whether that is CO2, whether that is bombs, whether that is state repression or other forms of violence, we have to stand up against that source of suffering. And if we pretend to care about the environment, if we pretend to care about the climate and our children's future without seeing and acknowledging and fighting against the suffering of all marginalized people today, then that is an extremely racist approach to justice that excludes the majority of the world's population.
And how? What is the mood aboard the ship? You have participants from Brazil, Spain, and you yourself are Swedish. What's the mood there?
The mood on board the ship is, I would say, that our spirits are very high and we are very determined to continue. So far, we have won over one of the major predicted obstacles, which is to be stuck in port due to the bureaucratic warfare that has been very strong, especially in the past. And the fact that we have gotten over that and that we are out sailing now and that we have gotten quite a far bit is already a victory in itself. And of course, this mission includes many risks, and we have done many risk assessments. But of course, we deem the risk of silence and the risk of inaction to be so much more deadly than this mission, of course. And we are 12 peaceful volunteers who are not carrying weapons. We are carrying food, medical supplies, and sanitary products and other very needed humanitarian aid into Gaza following the blockade. And we will meet whatever is thrown at us with non-violence in any scenario.
They're planning on reaching the Gaza Strip by June 7th.
And so we are trying to prepare and to maximize our safety and the success of this mission as much as we can.
Greta, as you attempt to bring in baby formula, medical kits, flour, prosthetics for kids with amputations, the Israeli military has threatened to block the Freedom Flotilla. The Israeli army says it's prepared to raid your ship. We know what happened to the Mavi Marmara with the Israeli raid and the killing of 9 activists on board. Ultimately, a 10th died. So are you seeing drones? How are you prepared to deal?
Yeah, we are seeing drones. Last night, there were 2 different moments where there were drones circulating above us. And we have safety procedures that we will use.
Is there a manifest of the supplies? Yes. What will stop Israel from claiming that Greta is just smuggling guns? They have said that in the past with Mavi Marmara as well. They literally had the audacity to present all of the tools that they found on the ship as weapons of war that they were trying to sneak into the Gaza Strip. The tools that they found on the ship were literally like screwdrivers and kitchen knives. Okay? Like, it was insane. They drop shipped commandos from a fucking helicopter onto this humanitarian aid ship and slaughtered 9 aid workers and then had the audacity to just show all of the cutlery on the fucking ship to say, oh, these are the weapons that they used against us. Yeah, here it is. Look at all the scary weapons that they had. Terrifying CDs, a keffiyeh, literal kitchen knives, wrenches, screwdrivers, tools used all around the ship, pieces of fucking wooden sticks, sanding discs, not CDs. Okay, sorry. Well, that makes it extra scary. I apologize. Especially when you present it right above, like a hook. There's a hook here, a keffiyeh, sanding discs. I mean, obviously these are tools of mass destruction, worthy of immediate retaliation.
And we have different scenarios that we are prepared for to try to maximize our safety in a non-violent way. So we are trying to do our very best, and it shows quite a bit that peaceful volunteers who are carrying humanitarian aid and necessary for survival is being threatened to be raided, intercepted, or attacked. I think that says quite a lot about the priorities and approaches of Israel right now. But we must also remember that this mission is not about us. It is not about the voyage or the people on board. This mission is about Palestine. It is about the genocide, the occupation, ethnic cleansing, and the other methods of war and oppression that are being used by Israel against the Palestinians. And we do not only need humanitarian aid to be let into Gaza, we do not only need a ceasefire, we need an end to the occupation.
Do you plan to break the military blockade around Gaza?
Sorry, what did you say?
How do you plan to break the military blockade around Gaza?
We are planning to continue sailing until we cannot sail anymore. It is very difficult to predict what scenario it will be, but as far as we know, we are planning to continue as we are now.
And what is your message to folks around the world, especially to young people who throughout the...
I'm going to move into the PlayStation event and then, of course, go back to the same. I'm going to go back to my coverage after. We have an hour. We have an hour where we will cover the PlayStation event. My dad is burning the house right now.
Emotion running through our veins. Heartbeat, love is making waves. Emotion
Yardıma ihtiyacım var mı?
running through our veins. Heartbeat, love is making waves. I'm facing my fears, not backing away. I'm facing my fears, not backing away. We're touching skin to skin, the blood is there within. We're feeling everything, we're only human. No superheroes can save us all in the end. We'll break away with it, we're only human. Emotion.
Is this fucking Sony Tetris? What the hell? What the helly?
Hello from Enhance. I'm Tetsuya Mizuguchi.
ディレクターの石原隆です。ルミネスアライズのトレーラー楽しんでいただけたでしょうか。この秋、プレイステーション5、PSVR2 対応で発売予定です。ルミネスアライズはバラエティ豊かな曲と美しいビジュアルが没入感を高め、いつまでも遊びたくなるゲーム体験となっています。その世界はとても心地よく、プレイヤーを共感覚の世界へと導きます。
まあよくある普通のパズルゲームってことだよね。テトリスエフェクトを一度遊んだことがある人はわかると思いますが、ルミネスアライズはただのパズルゲームではありません。
夏にシングルとマルチプレイの体験版を配信予定です。
Don't worry, we will also sometimes tune into the Asmongold chat to see what the Asmongold community has to say, to see if games are woke and gay.
The future. It isn't just a dream, it's a promise. One we're turning into reality. With our third generation of Luna filament and advanced generative AI, we're reshaping the line between dreams and reality. we create life for our future. Delphi Corporation.
What the fuck? AI?
Let's see about getting patched through to Earth. And why are these things trying to kill us?
Oh, it's a.
There you are. All better.
It's meta.
You patched me up.
I got scared for a second.
I am DI03367. They are pragmatic.
Hang on a second. Don't you have a name or something? I'm good. Get behind me.
Is this woke? It's a child, but she's a blonde and white. A female child.
Targets identified. Neutralizing threats.
Neutralize us?
Looks like we're gonna have to fight our way through. What the?
Bypassing first and second firewalls. Hooking control protocols. Initiating hack.
Hey, D.I.
I said I am DI.
Okay.
DI?
Look.
DI!
How about we call you Diana?
Diana?
Diana! I have no idea what this game is. This came out of nowhere for me.
Oh, hey, today is Saturday, which means curry time.
Awesome, I love curry.
Speaking of curry, apparently the current president is actually a humane. What does that mean? It's okay, I'll get it.
Curry time.
Romeo, stay with me. Grandpa, I'm gonna die. Romeo, listen up. You're gonna die in about 15 seconds. Seriously? Seriously, don't worry. I made this just in case. The Dead Gear Life Support System. Don't move, okay? You're already half dead. From now on, you're half dead.
I have no idea what the fuck this is.
No, wait, that's pretty lame. Dead man. From now on, you're dead man.
This has like, what was it, like No More Superheroes or whatever? Dead Rising is similar to Dead Rising. No More Heroes. Japanese games are so funny. Dead Man is awesome as a name.
Romeo is a dead man. Coming 2026.
I don't even know if this is Japanese, but it comes across very Japanese. I guess it is Japanese.
That was Grandpa's voice.
Dead man.
Are you like a spirit? I'm on your back. What?
I'm a real gamer, by the way. Suda51 clocked it. When I said no more heroes, baby. Holy fuck, all the game. I love it. I will probably never play this, even though people will want me to play it because it's scary as fuck. You don't need to see what Asma's chat is saying. It's a Japanese schoolgirl. They're fucking nutting all over themselves, okay? It's Japanese and it's a fucking schoolgirl as the main character. They do not think this is DEI. Remember, if you can masturbate to it, then it's not DEI. It's not a challenge, it's a promise. Stop spamming F's in the chat whenever you see F's in the fucking screen, okay? It freaks me out. Oh my God, immediately. Right as I said it.
The castle has been sighted again. The church's orders are absolute. These human sacrifices must be stopped. We will track the ethereal castle, break its gates, and exterminate the creatures that dwell within. The Demon Lord himself will fall by our hand. This mission will test the limits of your courage. You will face horrors beyond your darkest imaginings. Beasts that defy reason.
Is this actually Castlevania or a copy?
Creatures born of pure darkness.
Thousand Blossom! Die with me! Cross!
Reaper! Tonight, we start our mission!
Castlevania but French? I mean, France is having a big come up on gaming too with Expedition, so.
So you've come.
Gamers like France too.
Right into the palm of my hand.
The visuals of Shinjuku that I'm seeing are a hellscape I can't quite put into words. You've somehow been sent back in time 8 years, but the situation here is critical. I'm counting on you, Agent. Our ultimate mission is to uncover the causality between these anomalies.
It's
Probably a phase electron life form.
Is that what you call us Digimon?
I'll always be right here.
What the fuck,
Who exactly
Digimon?
are you working for? I remember you guys.
Who or what is that? You really don't know anything about the digital world?
We have been enemies for years now, but this is the first time the Titans have launched an attack on this scale.
We now believe most of the anomalies we've been dealing with stem from Digimon.
It seems the upcoming battle is truly unavoidable.
The world on this end is running out of time.
If the gate is opened with the digital world in such a state, the human world will most certainly be affected.
Do the Titans not care about the end of the digital world?
Stop it! That
I guess people in Japan still fuck with Digimon. Is that what it is?
The world tree has been attacked. It is just as the great one, Plutomon, said.
It can't protect anyone. We must protect the world from them. For this purpose and this purpose alone were you born.
If that thing opens, then we'll be swarmed by Digimon.
Attack!
Please, everyone, lend me your strength.
Everything's riding on
To
you.
move forward into the future.
We must fulfill our mission. Agent.
I've always had so much brand loyalty to Pokemon that it, like, as a child, caused me to hate Digimon for some reason. I don't know why. It's just so stupid. But it's just something that I had internalized.
Oh, Father, abandon not your wayward children of Ivalice, but deliver us from our sins, that we might know salvation.
If you feel wronged, blame yourself or the Father.
Why do you fight? Why walk this path of subterfuge and conflict?
The powerful must rule the weak. It is our duty.
Heavens fall upon your crown!
This vile charade has gone on long enough. It ends now.
Do you remember when your father showed us how to make a whistle of a blade of grass?
Final Fantasy does nothing for me.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean Benson.
And I'm Sid Schumann, here to deliver news and release dates for games coming to PS5 later this year.
We hope you enjoyed that first look at Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evil East Chronicles. The game will include 2 versions of the original PlayStation Classic. The enhanced version, which features improved graphics, fully voiced dialogue, refined gameplay, and much more, as well as the classic version, which brings a faithful recreation of the 1997 original to modern consoles. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evil East Chronicles launches on PS5 and PS4 September 30th, and will be available for pre-order later today.
This next game is something really special. When I first played it, I laughed so hard I almost barfed. Let's check it out.
But is there maybe just toilet?
Toilet?
Yeah, I just need to pee.
How badly?
Just normal, Ed.
Yeah, just go behind this bush. I'll wait.
I can run away.
Pee shy?
No.
Yeah, no, you don't want me watching.
You can watch.
In baby steps, all you have to do is carefully place one foot in front of the other, which is easier said than done. Main character Nate requires some pretty deliberate movement to make even the simplest progress. It's a captivating open-world experience filled with oddball characters.
Here we go. Not that. Oh, no. You found it even without a map. The best toilet on the mountain.
Isn't this the fucking guy who makes
Definitely
those...
check this one out when it comes to PS5 on September 8th.
streamer-focused games?
Hirogami is a unique action-adventure title from Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. In this journey to save your origami home, you'll transform into paper shapes with distinct abilities, including a paper airplane, a nimble frog, a hardy armadillo, and a powerful ape. Master the art of folding when Hirogami arrives on PS5 later this summer. Sid, why don't you tee this next one up?
Thanks, Sean. The Hot Shots series has been with PlayStation from the very beginning, and its latest installment, Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, boasts its largest character roster ever. Compete in courses from 10 different regions around the world, each with weather effects and new nighttime variants. Pre-orders begin later today. And those who do will get Bandai Namco's iconic Pac-Man as an early unlockable character. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots drives onto PS5 September 5th.
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is a challenging new entry in the long-running action franchise. From the makers of the Blasphemous series, Ragebound stars dual protagonists from rival clans, forced to combine their souls and skills against a demon uprising. And longtime fans will really love the pulse-pounding soundtrack featuring guest composers from the original series.
No, I don't like 2D games. But I get why people do. They're
Ninja
very
Gaiden
mechanical.
Ragebound arrives July 31st on PS5 and PS4. From the game bakers, Cairn is a survival climbing experience where you must carefully plan your ascent up a deadly mountain. Manage balance and stamina to discover secrets.
Hey! Hey, wait for me!
Encounter other climbers.
I'm Marco. Nice to meet you.
And survive the harsh conditions of the climb. You can give it a try yourself with a demo that arrives later today.
Bro, Hideo Kojima has
Buzz,
bricked the entire industry. Everyone was like, oh, strand type games, they'll never take over. Every game is a strand type game.
Nothing can prepare you for their next collection.
They basically took like different parts of Death Stranding and hyper focused on one aspect of it.
Play, people were excited about it.
The most rewarding part of it is just seeing people react to it.
We knew that we were onto something.
It was such a shock to see this game. I was like, I can't believe this game exists.
It became something that added to the mystique of Mortal Kombat.
We're showing you a part of a world that is much larger.
There was no template to make the games. It's a bit of the Wild West.
Every part of that game is an
So many
expression
remasters,
of
bro.
who we were and what we wanted to do.
Victory.
What the hell's going on? Give me something new, man. Stop giving millennials flop. Or if you're gonna give me a remaster, give me Metal Gear, the entire franchise, and also Bloodborne. You don't like anything? I do. There's things I like.
Patrol here.
They just never made. Oh, there you go. There you have it. Things I like. Right after I said don't. They're all remasters.
Find him. We're under fire. Enemy position unknown.
Loading like this, it's a revolution.
All right, Commander.
Oh my god. 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 Oh my god.
You won't get away from me.
Time for you to taste some real pain.
What's the matter? I'm over here. Go back to your own world. See you in hell.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yes, remake. Okay, that was a good remake.
Gotcha.
Fuck, man, that shit is gonna be, oh, that's gonna be so good. When this, leading up to this game's release, I'm planning on doing a Metal Gear Solid marathon if I can. I have the GameCube console for it. I have Twin Snakes here as well.
Spirit stones. Shining stones imbued with humankind's never-ending dreams.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do MGS1, I'm gonna do Twin Snakes.
Since time immemorial, this power has been the impetus for human wars.
Such an ominous atmosphere, and one thick with the presence of Aratama.
What makes a shogun? Here is my answer.
Someone said only 700 bosses? What a rip.
How foolish of you to have entered the depths of hell.
Utter woke nonsense.
Who might you be, warrior?
Tokugawa.
体験版も配信いたしますので、ぜひプレイしてご意見をいただければと思います。
Yeah, I am scared of Neo. Yes, it is incredibly fucking difficult.
No one knows how old the city really is. For me, it's all I've ever known. My whole world. I was raised in this city's shadow, free to take whatever I need to survive.
Oh, VR.
This city hides many lost and legendary treasures, locked away, waiting to be found, waiting to be taken. Some treasures come with more trouble than others.
I thought I was dead. And who are you?
They made Thief woke. They stole Thief from us. The wokes.
Tidewalker, are you there yet?
Whoa, what is this?
Cleo has uncovered a formula for a cure, but she's keeping it safe in her tower.
Hey, you got some hosen?
Marketland seems a bit tense today. I heard something happen with another Tidewalker. Damn it. It's gone. Someone beat us to it.
Ever since the Great Flood, Elend, my dear planet, has been dying. Plastemia has taken everything from us. But you Tidewalkers
I like the art style, don't like the color palette, like the dystopian future
to you
shit.
now to use that power.
Oh, I love dystopian climate change future.
This is our new recruit! Please, help me.
Soundtrack is incredible so far as well. Guys, I love Waterworld. For those of you who don't know, I love Waterworld. I think Waterworld, if you didn't watch it back then, but you watch it now for the first time ever, you will literally love Waterworld. I think Waterworld is one of the most criminally underrated movies of all time. And my assessment of it is that
I'm Nicholas Ducey,
if
the
you
game
watch it
director
for the
of
first time ever
Astrobot.
right now, you'd be like, wow,
it's a
this
pleasure
is
to
an
be back
incredible movie.
today to share more news with you. What a last few months it has been in the world of Astro. Astrobot launched last September to such encouraging feedback, even receiving a few honors we are truly grateful for. In October, we added 5 speedrun levels, followed by a
Freaking
Christmas
Astrobot
special
again.
packed with festive surprises.
Stole
And
from
then
my
earlier
beautiful
this year,
Wukong.
the Vicious Void Galaxy made its appearance, adding yet more new challenging levels, all of which came at no additional cost. And today, I am pleased to announce that later this month, you will be able to enjoy 5 brand new challenge levels in Astrobot, bringing the total to a whopping 90 planets. And new special bots will be there too, including Atsu from Ghost of Yotei, alongside other fans' favorites, but these ones are a surprise. And finally, the Astrobot DualSense wireless controller will return later this year, with a slight twist, so be on the lookout for more news coming soon. From all of us at Team Hasanabi, thank you all for the amazing reception you gave our game, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Oh my god, what is this fucking water slop? It looks kind of cool. I just don't like the purple, like all the color. The color palette annoys me. I don't know why, but I like the art style again. It's Sea of Thieves, isn't it? The color palette is gay and woke for sure. Saturation has to be 200%, or the iPad kids literally can't distinguish colors and shapes on the screen. Wait, is that why? Is that why they do that? Is that for the iPad kids? Is that why I don't like it? Because I'm old? Like, it's like the post-Fortnite world. It's this post-Fortnite universe where like all the fucking color palettes are so base boosted. Even if I like the art style, the color palette is so saturated that it like annoys me. It looks blown out. I don't know if it's a byproduct of the Unreal Engine 5 or just like what the next generation's taste look like now.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Zatani. That was a new look at Sword of the Sea, a visually striking adventure from the team behind Abzu and Pathless. We're excited to announce that Sword of the Sea will launch this summer into the PlayStation Plus game catalog.
I got this through the Asmon child.
On June 17th, Remedy brings otherworldly action to game catalog with FBC Firebreak.
Wait,
in this
they
cooperative
banned me.
FPS set in the paranatural world of Control, you and 2 fellow agents must confront and contain the reality-warping chaos found within the oldest house. Fun in short bursts or deep dives, FBC Firebreak launches day 1 into game catalog on June 17th.
Hold on.
The PlayStation Plus Classics catalog welcomes several new titles this summer.
Literally
The PS2 version
1984,
of legendary
100%.
immersive
It
sim
is
Deus Ex
1984.
arrives June 17th. In July, Twisted Metal 3 and Twisted Metal 4 join the service just in time for the second season premiere of Twisted Metal, which arrives July 31st in select countries, including Peacock and the US. Additionally, 2 of Capcom's most beloved games from the original PlayStation are set to join the Classics lineup. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 will arrive. Additionally, Myst and Riven will arrive later this month as part of the Days of Play celebration, running now through June 11th. Days of Play is a 2-week event that includes bonus PlayStation Plus content drops, great deals on software and hardware, and more. Visit PlayStation Blog and PlayStation.com for full details.
His parents cut their own rope to save him. He watched them fall, then found his way off that mountain.
Dude,
He was
gamers are
11
so
years old.
fucking disgusting. Like,
Then
unironically,
started
they
a
are
grand tour
such.
of every major boarding school in Britain.
They
Always
are
at the top of his
so
class.
gross, dude.
Always at odds with authority. Same thing in the Navy.
His superiors all praise his instincts.
And they're all in need of early retirement. Nobody knows what to do with him,
James
Mom.
Bond is good?
No.
James Bond with a black and brown character is
the same
bad.
way. But what he did in Iceland.
What he did in Iceland was insubordination. It was ill-disciplined, utterly reckless. He only survived thanks to blind luck. Only one good reason to put him in the program, Mom.
I think you just covered them all, Greenway. It's really quite simple.
Is she
Bond
Indian?
is a bullet without a target. Let's give him one.
Giga Chad, never mind. James Bond is white. We're safe.
have an
We're
appointment?
safe. We're safe.
James Bond.
James
Gamers,
Bond.
we're fucking safe.
He's with me.
And you are? Don't think we've had the pleasure.
Now let's not get ahead of ourselves, James.
So you shouldn't have.
We're facing a situation of the utmost delicacy. I need all my pieces on the board.
009 is a master manipulator. Whatever the end game is, we won't see it coming.
Jet lag gets me every time.
She's not your friend, Bond. She's an asset.
With respect, Mom. To hell with that.
Somehow the game looks fire despite the DEI.
Headhunting.
That's such a sad way to live, dude. Like, you see one fucking black female character and you're like, oh my god, I must boycott this game, even though it looks dope.
I suppose this is another teachable moment.
I think this game will be fire. It's IOI. It's gonna be good. I will play the fuck out of this game. They're gamer Karens. I was thinking about this a lot.
Hello.
Like,
I'm Hakan Abrak, CEO of Interactive.
Turk.
The team is thrilled to announce 007 First Flight. You'll experience James Bond as a young air crewman in the Royal Navy. Before the tuxedo
I don't know, but it
martinis,
sounds Turkish.
as he first steps into the world of espionage, striving to earn his 00 status. Everyone at Interactive has poured the passion and dedication into crafting an experience that honors the legacy of Bond, harnessing our 25 years of agent expertise. This is just the beginning of a journey with 007.
Turkish, Danish.
And we can't wait to share more with you soon.
Howdy are these? Howdy are these? We are everywhere. Oh shit. It's DEI time. Ghost of DEI. DEI, DEI, Ghost of DEI, skip. DEI Tsushima.
You're still with me?
Ghost of DEI. Oh, they're such fucking weirdos, man. It's awesome. Oh, amazing. I saw the Unreal Engine demo for Witcher. It looked fucking amazing. What is it, like Marvel vs. Capcom? Spidey sense! Yeah, baby! It's Marvel Guilty Gear? Yeah. Guilty Gear's always had the best art style. I've never played it. Marvel Dokkan Fighting Souls. Wait, what? Back to back. More games in Japan. More games in Japan. More Japan. Pog. Or wait, this doesn't.
プレイステーションの友人から急になんか飲みに行こうぜっていう連絡が来て、なんのこっちゃと思って、予定合わせて行ったんですけど、ちょっと飲んでる中で実はアクの方でマーベルの世界的に本当に有名な IP ですし、光栄だなと思いつつも、まず
It's just backstory to how Ark made a Marvel fighting game.
Number one,
no politics here. No politics.
The inspiration for working on this project really came from a place of pure fandom and wanting to say, why isn't PlayStation in this space?
So PlayStation approached us with this vision to bring Marvel back to the forefront of the tag fighting genre. And that got us really excited because we had worked with them before on successful stuff like the Marvel Spider-Man franchise with Insomniac.
When it came to approaching Marvel, you have to kind of first float the idea and let them know, hey, we're thinking about approaching a company like Arc System Works to make a fighting game. We'd love to partner with you to do this really great collaboration. Would you be interested?
When they named the developer, that really perked up our ears. It's always refreshing to work with a team that will take on the challenge of tackling Marvel, putting their own spin on it, and they're just uppercutting that challenge into the stratosphere. And that's what you get with this team. I mean, they couldn't make something boring if they tried.
社長からも本当に作れるんだったらぜひやりたいねっていうことを言われました。話を受けてしまった以上これは私がプロデューサーなのかなっていうところで。
The tricky thing is that most fans, including myself, see this as a sacred genre for Marvel. The tough part is finding a partner that's crazy enough to take on the task, because you either do something like this big and bold, or you don't do it at all.
I feel like I have a good grasp on their art style and how they would approach certain IPs. You come in with your kind of own expectations of, here's what I would expect to see from Arc System Works when they take on a Marvel IP. And what came up was something that went beyond that.
I remember personally, the first time I saw Iron Man was really when I felt we had something special.
という感じで
Iron Man is supposed to be the sleek fighter jet, think luxury race car, mixed with a brick house. And the fact that they added anime mech elements to him just felt really naturally at home.
One of the mantras that we have for this project is from Japan to the world, and really trying to take not just the IP, but gameplay mechanics and say, what can we really take from Japan, the creators that are doing awesome work here, and bring that to the global platform.
Why so long in a Marvel game? I don't know. I guess this is like their signature thing that they're selling this time around because it's a IP. I don't really care necessarily about Marvel IP that much.
Up until now, you've seen tag fighters that have 2v2, 3v3. We felt like we just had to go 4v4. And in doing so, we found a lot of unique and fun ways to change up the gameplay that I think players are going to be very excited to see.
Learning 4 characters is extremely daunting, but the team at Arc System Works has found a way to design a system that adapts to your playstyle. So you could either duke it out as just the leader and 3 assists, or you can tag in your assists to swap the leader and change the matchup on the fly.
Don't people like Marvel versus Capcom because it's Marvel versus Capcom and not just because it's Marvel in a fighting game?
I'm excited that we get to be able to share it with all the fans out there.
I'll tell you right now, a lot of fighting games, they never get to experience this level of production, and it's just a dream to even be working with these 2 great partners.
The 3 companies have come together to do this, and I think we really are going to make something magical here.
I mean, this looks pretty cool. I'm not a big fighting game guy, as you guys know. It looks cool. Who knows? This is the end, I think. No Bloodborne, it seems, by the way.
You're still with me?
This is a recap.
The upcoming battle is truly unavoidable.
There was some hits in here. This game looks fucking incredible. Like, the one that I'm most excited about, I would say, is the one with the little baby in it. Like, that one looks very cool. And obviously Metal Gear Solid, James Bond is great too. One of the new IPs that I've seen, Pragmata, yeah. That one looks very, like, I like the art style. I like Waterworld, the Waterworld game. That looked fucking sick. Ghost of Yotei. This is a solid lineup, man. This is a solid ass lineup. Obviously MGS. Hasanabi, over under on AOC endorsement now that we didn't get Bloodborne. Okay, I was fucking joking about Bloodborne. You missed the DLC announcement, man. What? The hit game Power Simulator has just revealed its newest expansion will be set in filthy, festering bedroom of a streamer Asmongold. I'm not sure we'd have the equipment to handle this one. Wait, this is from August 29th, 2024, man. Gabe Newell traveled down on his yacht for an announcement during this week's events. Get hyped. Here's a summary of your takes during State of Play. Hassan so far, too scary. Final Fantasy doesn't move me. I don't like 2D games. Boring. I don't like fighting games. Mortal Kombat is millennial slop. Don't like the color palette. Gay and woke. Gamers are disgusting. Claims he's doing a Metal Gear Marathon and says he'll play the 007 game. I don't care about Marvel IP. Rival sponsored, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I don't, what? I can like Marvel Rivals, which is a very fun fucking game, but also simultaneously be like, I don't really care about the Marvel IP. Marvel Rivals is fun in and of itself. It's a more fun Overwatch, partially because of the whole lot of ass that it brings to the table, both for the men and the women. You know, it's for the girlies. Waterworld might be the single most base take you've ever had, especially if you go right through the 4-hour Ulysses cut. I'm spamming because I need you to take your flowers on this one. I did not watch the 4-hour Ulysses cut, but I did watch Waterworld, and I actually really liked Waterworld. What game first in your MGS marathon? Twin Snakes. I'm going to try to put together a MGS marathon starting off with Twin Snakes, and then MGS 2, and then MGS 3, and then MGS 4. I'm going to play all of them. Instead of MGS 1, I'm going to do Twin Snakes. Come on, you know why, not MGS 1. You know why. You know why. And no, I'm not going to start with the original Metal Gear that was like top down or like whatever, the 2D one. The reason why I would do Twin Snakes rather than MGS 1 is because it's more replayable. Chat, like, you are once again claiming that you know what's best. Let's see what MGS1 looks like, okay? MGS1 gameplay. And I'm sure this will be like an emulator and it'll be touched up too. Okay, normal playthrough.
Are headed your way.
You need a PS3 to run MGS4. Just an FYI, I have a PS3. I don't know if it still works, but I have one. I'm pretty sure that is this the high definition remake or something? Spoilers by the way, bro. I played this game. What are you talking about? Okay, now let's look at Twin Snakes. Okay, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes GameCube remake.
That doctor.
Hold on. Oh shit, I fucked it up.
Except for your binoculars.
I wonder which one seems more playable. Looks worse? Okay, you guys are fucking stupid. Shut up. Twin Snakes was chopped up because it's a Nintendo product. Was ass. Don't fall for the graphics. Dude, the difference is insane. Kojima wasn't involved with the making it Twin Snakes. Okay. Kojima is not involved with the Metal Gear Solid remake either. And I'm going to play the fuck out of Snake Eater. So what's the point?
Who's that?
I'm here to save you. You're the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, right?
Dude, you are being the same as audio pedophiles, Mr. Graphic Pedophile. That's crazy. Dude, you are insane. Visuals are a major part of the fucking watchability of any game. The voice acting is different in Twin Snakes. They changed the script from the original too. Okay, I didn't realize I had this many fucking weirdos in the chat. For the record, I've never played Twin Snakes. I've never played it at all. I have no idea what it's going to be like. I just know that it has better graphics. But having said that, I'm excited to play Twin Snakes. Not weirdos, Metal Gear Solid fans, because MGS is god tier and anti-imperialist based. Yeah, okay, all of the Metal Gear games are anti-imperialist. What are you talking about? What the fuck? Metal Gear Solid versus the Twin Snakes. How not to remake a classic. Comparison, critique, and review. 667,000 views 4 years ago. Oh my god, Metal Gear fans.
It had to be a great game by providing the player a thrilling experience, and it's consistently entertaining enough to succeed through that lens. I actually think the area where gameplay and narrative overlap the most, that being the interrogation sequence, is one of the game's weakest moments, because when you really step back and think about what's happening, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Ocelot doesn't even need any information out of Snake besides the secret to the PAL key, but Snake doesn't even know that at the time, and killing Meryl has nothing to do with his underlying goals. You can pick apart a lot of the individual scenes within the game like this, but that'd be a disservice to the broader strokes of the narrative, which fare much better. Many people like to say that MGS1 is about the horrors of war or how nuclear weapons are bad, and while that's definitely true, viewing the game this way limits its applicability to everyday life. Metal Gear Solid retroactively works within the larger theme of the series, that being the subjugation of individuality at the hands of external powers. From the ever-changing relationships between countries forcing soldiers to abandon their personal connections to information being manipulated in an effort to suppress free will, the Solid games are all centered around a man versus machine conflict. Machines that aren't the titular weapons, but instead systems designed to carry out the ideologies of people that have no regard for those that are grinded down and left to bleed out in the process. As I see it, Metal Gear Solid explores this idea in two key ways, the first and most obvious of which is the game's commentary on genetics. This is a slight subversion of the franchise's overarching message, as genetics aren't a result of human intervention, but this theme similarly challenges our sense of control within life. The game's message is that we can't let our genes restrict and steer our personal decisions. That's why Liquid's the bad guy.
You can't fight your genes, it's fate. All living things are born for the sole purpose of passing on their parents' genes. That's why I'll follow what my genes tell me.
This theme pervades the entire narrative in fairly clever ways. Naomi's a geneticist, the genome soldiers were strengthened through gene therapy, Foxdie specifically targets people by identifying their DNA, both the protagonist and antagonist are genetically related, and the recessive clone of Big Boss is the one who ends up victorious, furthering the idea that genes don't have to dictate our outcome. How this idea is expressed through dialogue leaves a little to be desired, however. Naomi flat out telling the audience what the game was going for robs them of the ability to really interpret the game's message, which would have been sufficient given how well...
Okay, this is it's literally just an analogy for the default perspectives and behaviors, reactionary ideology, and those who rely on the foundations to justify their clearly unjustifiable actions. The half official canon is that Twin Snakes is Otacon's recalling of events and Metal Gear Solid 1 is Snakes. You should absolutely play Twin Snakes. I feel like that's made up after the fact to appease the gamers. Marvel Rivals already down 76% of player base. The game ain't lasting another year. Meanwhile, Overwatch is still going strong after 10 years. I wonder why that is. Maybe because Marvel Rivals is slob. You're an Overwatch purist. It's a better game. Overwatch going strong is so funny. Overwatch more like overblown, overcooked. Overwatch cope in 2025 is crazy to hear. Overwatch fans in 2025 is like the last Japanese soldier on the Philippine island, still going strong after 30 years, refusing to leave its military position. You haven't encountered Team Fortress 2 fans? No, I know. Overwatch has 20K players on stream. Rivals right now. Rivals has 100K players. LMFAO. Yeah, but it lost 75% of its player base. Zoran debate soon. Yeah, Zoran is heading to the debate. My God. He's heading to debate in the motherfucking subway. I can't wait to watch this. I am actually low-key excited about this. What, have you watched this video yet? What is this? Billionaires के पास.
इस इलेक्शन में सिर्फ 20 दिन बचे हैं और चॉइस मेरे और एंड्रू कोमो के बीच में है. अगर आप पहली बार इलेक्शन के बारे में जान रहे हैं तो ये है जो एंड्रू कोमो ऑफर कर रहा है. आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंग है. New Yorkers are struggling to afford roti. Rent freeze, free buses, universal childcare और सस्ती groceries के जरिए. देखो, यहाँ billionaires के पास already सब कुछ है.
Bro, this is so sick. God, it's so good. Oh my God, it's so cool. That is so fucking cool. Holy shit. Every 7-Eleven owner and MD in New York City will be voting Zoran. Explaining ranked choice voting through Mango Lassi is excellent. He's rolling up in a second lime parade. Fuck, man. He's too good. He's too good. Too much aura. He's too powerful. When is the debate? Stop ducking hot girls for Zoran ad.
What the hell?
You looking for a car wash, Daddy?
These, okay? I'm sorry. Do not show this to the aunties, okay? Because Zoran is trying to win over the black and brown unks, aunties, dads, granddads. Okay, do not. This is just for us. You know, we saw it. Haha, it's good. Let's not. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh, they're dripping.
And yeah, I just think that would be a great way to get the message across.
Sounds like you just want to do that, big bro.
No.
What does that have to do with not getting Andrew Cuomo elected?
Think about it, guys. These next few weeks are important. We just need to go hard for Zoran, and everything will work out, I promise.
Dude, enough with the fantasy. Zoran's platform is awesome. It speaks for itself. All we got to do is canvas and knock on doors. Look, we tell people about universal childcare and fast and free buses and the rent freeze, and he's going to win.
But I just think it's a great idea.
We're not doing that.
Fine. Didn't want to do it anyway.
Classic leftist sketch goes on too long. Okay, chill. All right, let's do Trump says Putin told him in a call he will respond to Ukraine's weekend drone attacks.
Breaking news, President Trump just wrapped up a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The U.S. president says they spoke on the phone for approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. I want to bring back CNN's Kristen Holmes live from the White House. So, Kristen, what did Trump say about this call?
Yeah, Manu, he really dives into two separate things. One, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and two, the deal with Iran. So let's start with reading this post because this is really the White House's version of a readout of the call. He says he just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place on both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfield. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this...
Isn't this crazy that he's like fucking acting as like a press secretary for Vladimir Putin? Like, I'm so confused. Anyone knows that Trump has had a running daily commentary on world and domestic affairs, but said nothing about the Ukrainian drone attack until this afternoon when he vaguely reported discussing the matter with Putin and said the discussion will not lead to immediate peace? How was Anisa and Ian doing? I don't know. Why are you asking me? The fuck?
I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. So let's break these into two separate camps, because that's what they are. They're two separate deals that are going on here.
Guys, remember, day one is not here yet, okay? Because obviously if day one had happened, Trump would have ended the war as he promised. So clearly it's not day one. It's basically day minus 100, maybe. Okay. It's not day one, because my beautiful Trump would never lie to me. Okay. My beautiful Trump would never lie to me. He's not lying. Obviously it's not day one yet. Okay. Because if it was, then he would have ended the war. Trump is ranting about Xi at 2:17 a.m. I like President Xi of China. Always have and always will, but he's very tough and extremely hard to make a deal with. Oh no. But I thought you had his ass. I thought you bent him over your fucking knees and you were smacking it, dude. What's going on? I thought you were stealing China's lunch money while also simultaneously saving China from how devastating this tariffs regime looked like. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I thought we were dominating China. What's going on? What's going on? Why is China not capitulating to our ridiculous demands of nuking its own economy? Excuse me. I don't understand. Why is China not capitulating to our demands, which are very reasonable? Demands such as kill yourself, kill your economy, kill your citizens. Please. What? At least he's trying. What are you doing sitting on your ass, content creating, bitching, playing basketball? Trying to do what? At least Trump is trying. He's the president, dumbass. Hey, guess what? You know who has had a more positive impact on the global economy than Donald Trump? Me and you. And virtually everyone else who didn't try to drop a nuclear bomb on global trade for no other reason other than he's bored. Okay? So technically, we should give ourselves a round of applause. Actually, the past month or so has been Trump trying to mitigate the damage that he caused by slowly but surely arriving at the position of every random American, myself included. So eventually, if you're a Trump dick rider, once he gets back to no tariffs, I was just kidding, ha ha ha, in like a couple months, at that point, it will be just as though Trump had never done anything at all, right? And he would be similar to a powerless American individual such as yourself or myself. And you will sit there and celebrate it. You'll sit there and you'll go, oh my God, he did it. He fucking did it. He saved the world. Once again, he done did it again. Thank you, Donald Trump. You are my GOAT. Meanwhile, he didn't do shit. He actually did negative things and then tried to salvage said negative things that he did over the course of a long, drawn-out, idiotic tariff back and forth where he withered away the remaining goodwill that America has around the global stage. The only thing that's holding this entire process together is the fear of European vassal states of the Chinese hegemony, okay? They fear the Chinese century of prosperity, and that's the only thing that causes them to consistently give more back to the United States of America when the king comes in and demands more tithing, the king says, and our vassal states come in and go, okay, you know what? We'll do it. We'll give you more money, my king. We'll buy more of your weapons, my king. That's the art of the deal. Amazing. Abundance Fest happened today. They did a great job. Yeah, Centrism Coachella, mostly attended by journalists to make fun of Centrism Coachella, by the way, from what I've seen. Like, have you noticed how little Trump supporters, whether it be Asmongold or any number of different Trump supporters that like dick ride him into oblivion, have altogether shut the fuck up about the tariffs? Why has that happened, you think? Because in the initial phases, they were unconditionally riding Trump. They were like, oh, he's doing it. He's doing the damn thing. He's actually fucking dominating China. What happened? Why are they not covering how much Trump is continuously dominating China? I thought that's what he was doing. He's been dominating China, right? That's what he keeps saying. Is he still dominating fucking China? Where are they at? Why are they no longer talking about Chinese dominance? Interesting. It's actually good that the abundance movement is finally being very honest that it sees unions and workers as the villains, says Josh Barrow. There's no pretense anymore. The mask is falling off. They're now screaming about their motives, so at least there's no deception, which is good.
Fans here today. When I look at policies in New York that stand in the way of abundance, very often if you look under the hood, you eventually find a labor union at the end that is the driver of that. I mean, to take some examples, it is illegal to build a new hotel in New York anywhere in the city without special permission from the City Planning Commission. This is a law that was lobbied for by the Hotel Workers Union and has had the intended effect of shielding existing hotels from competition, driving up hotel rates. City's also basically banned Airbnb.
It's great, man. I love living in a country where both options are right-wing. It's so sick. I love it. I love it. It's so awesome. Do you want gay fascism? Do you want homo-fascism? Or do you want homophobic fascism? Those are your two options, okay? Which one do you want? Homo-fascism or homophobic fascism? Because there's no other option. There's no anti-fascist option, okay? Which one do you want? Do you want the smug, smarmy, entitled, technocratic approach to homo-fascism? Or do you want the schizophrenic, insanely violent version that is also still very smug, mind you, and is in a state of permanent fucking victimhood? Which version of fascism would you like? Both are going to kill you. I said homo-fascism. I didn't say homo-trans fascism. Both of the fascist movements will kill trans people. Okay? Make no mistake. They've both written out trans people as like permanent enemies of empire. An example of wins above replacement war. The base will vote for you anyway, says LX Eagle 17, Lakshya Jain. Don't worry about liberal defections. So the lesson of the Harris campaign was that the Democrats should do more events with Liz Cheney. Abundance is a new revolutionary approach to centrism. It's not fascism. Dog. Centrism inevitably yields fascism, especially because it refuses to address the material harms that cause people to become reactionary. So it basically is the softer, gayer version of fascism. It's the precursor to fascism, both historically and in contemporary society. It's happening in front of your fucking eyes. You are watching a fascist administration currently work its way through the steps of consolidating power at the top, while simultaneously undermining what remains of American civil liberties. The marginal civil liberties that remain, they're taking those away. What are the Democrats doing in the process? Talking about how actually it's the people that want the Democrats to do more to combat this wave of fascism that are actually wrong. We should become more fascist and people should vote for us anyway. Because when given the option between homo-fascism and homophobic fascism, I'm sure people will choose homo-fascism. It's marginally better, after all. That's what I mean. What about building coalitions to win over the working class? Fuck no! How dare you? What kind of right-wing nonsense is this? Don't you know that the working class is a reactionary dog whistle? Excuse me. The working class are evil. They're evil monsters. They want healthcare and stuff, and I hate that. It's bad. I will ban you. I would rather sell off this country to Kroger's, Goldman Sachs, Amazon, okay, that becomes this unique merged blob of evil than to allow you to get free healthcare. I would rather stop that every step of the way. I will use all of my existing brain power to ensure that I stand in opposition to things such as free healthcare, free college, things that improve people's lives, things that actually offer people an opportunity for prosperity, an opportunity for social advancement. The markets will be unleashed, whether you like it or not. The freer the markets, the freer the people. Markets cannot fail. They can only be failed, okay? Neoliberalism, real neoliberalism has not been tried yet, okay? Real neoliberalism has never been tried. Real neoliberalism is the way. Real neoliberalism is the method. I worship the altar of markets. I worship the market gods. Do you understand? Make no mistake. The freer the markets, the freer the people. Remember this, chat. Real free markets have not been tried. Real free marketeering and profiteering will actually save us. The market will solve this problem. Oh, climate change? The market will solve this problem. Racism? The market will solve this problem. Homophobia? The markets will solve this problem. God, it's so simple. What don't you understand? Free healthcare? No, that's communism. The markets will solve the problem. Do you like that? This is my new pitch. As my new pitch is a totally new and unique thing that I just invented. No one has ever thought of this before. You know? No one. The markets cannot fail. They can only be failed by us, mere peasants who don't understand. This is zealotry, okay? That's all this is. It's zealotry through and through. Make no mistake. There is no difference. There is no difference between this and religious zealots. They can try and act as though what they are saying is the norm and that you have pie in the sky ideas. You're an idealist. You're a purist. Why make perfect the enemy of good? They'll say all of these things. Meanwhile, what they are trying to advance, the cause that they're trying to advance is not only unpopular, not only unjust, but also way more ridiculous than having an expansive social safety net that exists in virtually every other comparable OECD nation. As a matter of fact, it even exists in fucking underdeveloped and undeveloped nations. But in America, God forbid, we can't have that. Because after all, we got to worry about the fucking GDP. Well, that's right. We must continue to understand how best to regulate the markets. It's mathematically proven that markets allocate resources to the most competent people, to each by their ability. We just need to work on regulation so that the wealthy stop exploiting the government, only their advantage. The government must remain unbiased for the good of all. What are you saying? I can't tell if you're fucking memeing alongside me or if you're like a genuine believer. What the fuck? You unironically are repeating the thing that I just said sarcastically, but now you're saying it without sarcasm. Like, it feels like you're saying this sincerely. I hope you're joking, and I hope you're not being sincere. The Nordic model is not fascism. Abundance is a new revolutionary approach to centrism. It's not fascism. Let's be honest, you got cooked on this one. Admit defeat and play the original. It's not about the visuals, it's about the soul of the game. Oh, he's also a MGS1 defender. You went too hard. You attacked the real capital fanboys. He's a lib and believes in the invisible hand of the market. Okay. But even fucking Adam Smith himself recognized that there was an end to that. You know what I mean? There's an end point. There's a point of unsustainable. There's a point where the market fundamentals are inevitably going to erode people's existence, people's liberties, people's livelihoods. And it's just weird because for some indecipherable reason, okay, for the record, one, abundance is not the Nordic model, okay? That's number one. Abundance is, like you said initially, a revolutionary approach to centrism, which paves the road to fascism. And the idea that the Nordic model is the end all be all and there is no evolution beyond the Nordic model is so fucking stupid. Listen, at this point, if you guys were at least China dick riders, I would be a little bit more understanding. Okay? Nordic model is not strong. The Nordic model is very weak. Look at the Nordic nations right now. Look at the Nordic nations right now. They are going through that exact same erosion of social safety nets in the welfare state that we never really fully had in comparison to the Nordic model, but in a comparable way relative to their previous standing, they're exhibiting the same exact fucking austerity issues right now. Finland is a great example of this. Finland's educational outcomes are being eroded. The Finnish right-wing coalition has advocated to unironically cut funding to public broadcasters. And now they're a part of NATO because of their understandable fear of Russian incursion. They joined NATO, and now their politicians are excited, salivating at the prospect of building a robust military force, which they already had a more competent military force due to, again, their proximity to Russia and the fact that there's conscription. But now, on top of that, they're excited to spend 5% of their fucking GDP on American weapons. So where does that money come from? What does that do to the living standards of the average Finnish person? And as they recognize that their living standards are getting worse, who do they blame for that? Oh, that's right. Refugees, brown people, Muslims. That's who they fucking blame for that. Because that anger and resentment will manifest, and the people in that process, right-wing, reactionary, fascist dipshits in that process, will very quickly work to manipulate public consciousness and change the resentment that people might have towards their politicians for selling out the goddamn country, or owners of capital who have dominated their fucking lives and demand more from them year in, day out. You now arrive at the situation where there is so much volatility and a group of people who have an answer and a solution. It's not the right solution. It's probably the final solution, as a matter of fact. But there you have another road paved towards fascism under the banner of Western liberal democracy. Fantastic. No turning back from this. It's awesome. Very excited to see the abundance model work in America, except it won't, because Americans have already fucking lost faith in the political process to begin with. Yeah, we should try to figure out how to regulate the markets, except what? 50 years of market regulation, and look at Europe. The only time where they actually had an active counterbalance towards growing capitalist sentiment in these countries in the post-World War II economies was when USSR was right there in their fucking ass cheeks, seen as liberators initially, and presenting an alternative model. That is how so many of these countries were able to move in the direction of expansive welfare states and social safety nets. Once the USSR was over, once that project was done, and it was completely fucking destroyed due to the endless greed and due to the unlimited success of capital owners, we arrived at late-stage capitalism, the neoliberal era. No more no more alternative solutions, no more dreams of any sort of shifting the fucking dial of time in the appropriate direction of socialism. Maximum capitalism, maximum greed, maximum profiteering. And look what happened in that process. The Western liberal capitalist countries are basically victims of their own success. They so thoroughly dismantled socialist movements, revolutionary socialist movements, revolutionary communist movements. They so thoroughly dismantled the alternative that the mean shifted firmly into the right. In the process, you got endless amounts of greedy capital owners and profiteers ruining the living standards of the fucking working class. There was always a limit to social democracies. And I'm not even specifically talking about the limits that exist as far as like social democracies relying on unequal exchange, whether it be the beautiful mixed market economy or the beautiful social democracy of France that relies heavily on neo-imperialism and commanding the currencies of many fucking Western African nations, or whether it be the fact that the entire global economy relies on the unequal exchange from the global south, whether it be the extraction of rare earth minerals that are necessary for new technology, or the extraction of labor power at an incredibly cheap price as a direct consequence of endless amounts of imperialism. That has negative consequences everywhere. That has negative consequences internally in the labor aristocracy as well, because the labor aristocracy can't outcompete the incredible price points of manufacturing in the global south, in countries that have been previously dominated. But holy shit, God forbid those countries that we've dominated have actually enabled themselves, have actually developed themselves evenly and become market competitors. Now we're scared, which is why we will turn around and rely on American empire to once again do what must be done, be ruthless, be cruel. And in the process of fascism manifests in all of these Western liberal capitalist nations, well, it's all right. At least we're not fucking Chinese. That's where you're at right now. Talking to me about the motherfucking Nordic model when every single goddamn Nordic nation is alarmingly moving in the direction of Nazi politics. Actually, I would worry about how China will fare when she is no longer the leader. If there's not another strong leader, they may face the same erosion by markets. Okay, you can't do that. You can't, on the one hand, say that like Xi Jinping has done a tremendous job at fighting back against the interests of capital and has actually continued the project of even development and actually handled the corruption, and in China it would be the interests of capital, and say that that is actually a fucking fantastic model, while simultaneously turning around and being like, well, Nordic democracies are great. Wrong. I see us in Norway hugging it out with Xi before Trump, the way things are going. We have issues with CCP, not China, and big issues with the Orange Menace. You have issues with the CCP. What does that even mean? CCP is China, and China is CCP. Listen. The Communist Party of China, okay? The Communist Party of China, is modern China. That's number one. Number two, the Communist Party of China is immensely popular in China. That's it. The idea that it is not an immensely popular force of politics is wrong. And that is not my estimation. That's not dick riding China. That's Harvard's own polling, where they go to China and they ask people and they try to fucking get like, they try to fucking find out like why Chinese people seemingly love their fucking politicians, why the Chinese population loves their party. Why is that the reason? Well, there's a very easy answer for it, okay? It's not because they're like actively suppressing any sort of speech or actively suppressing any sort of like political dissidence. I mean, that does happen, but that's not the reason why there's so much fucking popularity that the Communist Party of China enjoys. No, it's not because they'll be killed if they say no. Shut the fuck up. No, that's not the reason at all. Get the fuck out of here. They're literally in places like China. If you rock the boat, you get a rebellion, okay? Where people know that they're being dominated. When people know that they're being dominated, when people know that there's a tremendous amount of authority and control, the moment that you fucking actually do not abide by the wishes of the population, that moment is when you get destroyed. That moment is when you get fucking a rebellion, okay? Now, let me answer why people actually think the party performance is good. Well, it's pretty simple. It's because if you are 40 years old, living in China, over the course of the past 4 decades, you saw China make tremendous fucking gains. You saw cities that were being built that had no population in them whatsoever turn into cosmopolitan beacons of the fucking planet. And that happened over the course of a tiny amount of time, like relative to advancements being made in the West. If you're a 40-year-old, you saw your country become an immense power. Why wouldn't you be happy? Why would you not be happy? Of course you're going to be happy. Are there issues with civil liberties, not being able to say whatever the fuck you want to say? Sure. And I'm sure that's a major problem. At least according to the Chinese people I talk to, while they have tremendous pride in their nation and their national standing now as opposed to where it was fucking 40 years ago, okay? There are still issues, just like there are issues here in the United States of America. Okay? But it's ridiculous to refuse to reckon with why China is such a powerful force on the planet, and it's ridiculous to refuse to reckon with why China is has a popular form of governance. And no, it is not because they are so domineering and so scared, although the Chinese government is scared of disruptions, political dissidents, and whatnot, and does have a heavy hand. But that's not the reason why people are happy. The reason why people are happy is because of the economic improvements that they've experienced. And if you were to compare this, will you simp for Japan? I simp for the Nordics? No, there's a major difference here. I don't actually simp for Japan. I like the cultural output, but I actually criticize Japanese society and Japanese living standards quite frequently. You just don't hear it. You only hear me talk about anime Pog. And also, a comparison between the DPRK and China is so fucking ridiculous because the DPRK is shut out from the rest of the goddamn planet. What the fuck are you talking about? You think China and DPRK are comparable in any way, shape, or form? And even a better comparison will be like Saudi Arabia doesn't have a rebellion as opposed to China. Even then, that would be a better comparison. Okay? Like you're talking about a global participant in international trade that is perhaps one of the most, that is the most important global participant in international trade, as opposed to the DPRK, which is what economic output is cryptocurrency schemes, and their entry point into the world is maybe some Chinese commerce on the side. Ridiculous. All of this still fails. China is semi-shut off. In theory, they will be able to do it if they need be. No, it's not. China is not semi-shut off. What are you saying? China is not even remotely semi-shut off. It's not shut off at all. Can you fucking fly with ease to North Korea? No. Can you fly with ease to China? Yes. Can a Chinese citizen fly with ease to any country it wants to as long as that country is willing to give them a visa? Yes. Can a North Korean do the same? No. How is this even remotely fucking comparable? What are you saying? This is the edge of liberalism, okay? This is when liberalism fails. When an alternative mode of economic output exists out there and it is actually doing gangbusters, okay? And it's actually immensely successful, liberals go, how could this be? It must be that there is something afoot. Maybe it's the Chinese culture. Maybe the Chinese are servile people and they respond to authority differently. It's got to be some other fucking spiritual, idealistic reason. Don't use worldwide social networks, only their own versions and only their own content. Yeah. Do you fucking blame them? Have you seen Twitter? Have you seen Facebook? I don't fucking blame them at all. And having said that, the notion that that is the reason why they're shut off from the rest of the world is so stupid. Oh yeah, dude. If only China saw a couple fucking brain rot TikToks, they would turn into what? Stupid American pigs? Is that what you want? You also make it seem as though Chinese people can't like go on these websites, or Americans can't go on these Chinese websites. They certainly can. War refugee turned Nobel Prize winning scientist in the U.S. posts about Trump administration cuts the funding for his biomedical research. Within hours, he gets an email from China offering to move his lab to any Chinese city with a guaranteed funding for 20 years. Artem Pataputian's story is not just for the American dream, it's the American science. He arrived in Los Angeles in 1986 at the age of 18 after fleeing war-torn Lebanon. He spent a year writing for an Armenian newspaper and delivering dominoes at night to become eligible for University of California, where he earned his undergraduate degree and a postdoctoral fellowship in neuroscience. He started a lab at Scripps Research in San Diego with a grant from the National Institute of Health, discovered the way humans sense touch, and in 2021 won the Nobel fucking Prize. But with the Trump administration slashing spending on science, Dr. Pataputian's federal grant to develop new approaches to treating pain has been frozen. In late February, he posted on Blue Sky that such cuts would damage biomedical research and prompt an exodus of talent from the United States. Within hours, he had an email from China offering to move his lab to any city, any university he wants, he said, with a guarantee of funding for the next 20 years. You know what I say? That's victory, once again, for America. Good riddance, sir. We don't want no woke and gay-ass science. We don't want no woke libtard, DEICRT, gay science. Yeah, go to China. What is going to happen? I love how the threat is actually doing something good for the first time in their lives. Yeah, I would be so fucking triggered, man. Oh, no. I would be so owned. Asmongold and your community, please don't do that. I would be so mad. I would look like such a fucking clown. Think about how much content you can make out of that. Imagine fundraising tens of millions of dollars for Palestinians. Think about how much the SlopTuber community would celebrate that fucking whopping dub. They'd be like, Hassan is a fucking loser. He hates Palestinians. Asmongold is the real cockroach king who is the king of all the Palestinians. I would be so owned. Please, please don't do that. I would hate it. Also, what do you mean if he went to Palestine? If he went to fucking Israel, he would probably get fucking escorted by the IDF. So I suspect that that's not what he's talking about. Motherfucker doesn't even leave his bedroom. What is he talking about? Going to fucking Palestine. You know what would be really funny? Asmongold going to, trying to visit Palestine. And obviously that's not going to happen. But the Israeli authorities hear his statements about how Palestinians are an inferior culture that deserves to be genocided. They immediately are like, of course, you're allowed to come into our country, sir. You are actually a welcomed guest. And then in the process, he visits Jerusalem. You know what happens to motherfuckers that kind of look like Jesus in Jerusalem. Jerusalem syndrome, baby. Jerusalem syndrome. Asmongold goes to fucking Israel thinking that he's going to go to Palestine. He is welcomed with open arms because of his genocidal statements, and he gets hit with the fucking Jerusalem syndrome beam. And he lives the rest of his life living exactly as dirty as he currently does, but on the streets of Jerusalem instead, telling everybody he's Jesus Christ who has returned. Think about that. Yes, I will be watching the New York City mayoral debate in a little bit when it comes, when it happens. Yeah. Also, as a new depiction of historic Jesus, okay, no matter how many West Bank settlers spit on him, that would be like taking a shower for the first fucking time for Asmongold. He's already nasty as fuck. Asmongold Jerusalem syndrome arc. What is the Jerusalem syndrome? This chatter asked. This is the Jerusalem syndrome. A group is a group of mental phenomena involving the presence of religiously themed ideas and experiences that are triggered by a visit to the city of Jerusalem. It is not endemic to one single religion or denomination, but has affected Jews, Christians, and Muslims of many different backgrounds, not verified in body. It is not listed as a recognized condition in the Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders or the International Classification of Diseases. The best known, although not the most prevalent, manifestation of Jerusalem syndrome, classified as type 3, is a phenomenon whereby a person who seems previously balanced and devoid of any side of psychopathology becomes psychotic after visiting Jerusalem. Reminds me of Paris syndrome. No, Paris syndrome is very different. Paris syndrome, most commonly experienced by Japanese tourists who are otherwise Francophiles, is the idea that they have designed Paris, the city of Paris, in their minds as this like beautiful utopia that does not actually meet their standards at all once they visit. They visit Paris and they fucking hate it. Paris syndrome is, yes, just false expectations being shattered. What happened to me with the USA? Oh, yeah. I have the debate. I have the debate link. You don't have to send me the debate link. It's right here. It's happening in 4 minutes and 29 seconds. Celebrities are also forced to tweet good things about Israel. Just look at what happened to Bobby Lee. I mean, that's... Yeah, I know. I've heard this a million times. I know.
Is flying out like celebrities for free out there to do a tour for free, and it's on the house. They fly you first class, the whole thing. And I go, it's free? And they go, yeah, it's not free. So when you land there, they go, you have to every day tweet positive things about Israel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just felt so uneasy about it. I don't know much.
Say you love Israel? Why you not love Israel? Bobby Lee! Bobby Lee! Why you not love Israel? Say I'm Israel high! Say I'm Israel high, Bobby! No politics here! Say Israel number one! Tweet Israel number one! Bobby Lee, you are Hamas! Oh, you don't love Israel? Oh, Israel not number one for you. You are anti-Semitic. You are anti-Semitism. You are Hamas. You are Hamas. Bobby Lee, you are Hamas. Why you not love Israel? Israel, small nation. Israel, tiny nation, surrounded by scary Muslims. All of these protesters, AstroTurf, the Centrist Coachella, brought to you by Market Andreessen and APAC, is good work. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention someone who also got hit with the "Do you love Israel" beam.
About it, I just know that they're in conflict. But I did what they said. It was just basically, Palestinians. Israel's a beautiful country.
Say you condemn Hamas. Say you condemn Hamas. Say you condemn October 7. Say you condemn October 7. Bobby Lee's like, what is October 7? I'm in Israel in 2021. What are you talking about? Say you condemn October 7.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's true.
It is true, but then it's like I had to tag the government in it or whatever.
Oh, that's crazy. The Israeli government?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That's weird as shit.
Yeah, and it was just like every day it was just nonstop.
You were cucking for the Israeli government.
Yeah, but I wish I hadn't gone really.
Your Israeli accent has gotten worse? No, it hasn't. It's gotten only better. Use this for your debate blast off tweet. Best house. You don't like native Israel tongue? You don't like native accent to Levant? You are Hamas! Another one? I was making all those shots, by the way. That's why they're sending me the ball back, because I was making all those shots. That one also went in, actually, secretly. See? It went in. That also went in. Dude, I know the New York City debate is about to start. I know. I've been waiting for it to start.
Damn, this guy's good.